Today's episode is brought to you by Altoids because, let's face it, navigating the dating world isn't easy, but with Altoids, your breath will be stronger than the urge to text
you up at 1 a.m. More intense than a rose ceremony and more reliable than your bestie's questionable dating tips.
Like, do the simple things. Make sure that you have fresh breath wherever you go, and you got to do it with Altoids. Altoids is your sidekick in dating. Do yourself a favor and make sure that you have fresh breath. There is no bigger turnoff than stale, stinky, rotten breath.
It's also so easy because I feel like with gum, you always either, hey, have like a wrapper you got to throw away, or you're like, the gum gets nasty and you're like, where can I throw this gum away? With an Altoid, it's just so easy to throw in your bag, so easy to just dissolve in your mouth, chew it up, fresh breath immediately.
Altoids is the strong, reliable, and intense boost of freshness that young professionals and single minglers need to be their authentic selves in daily life. When walking into a high-stakes moment, if you have Altoids, your breath is one less thing you have to think about. When it comes to needing confidence and security to show up as your original self, Altoids has you covered.
They're not just mints, they're curiously strong mints.
Find Altoids in the checkout aisles. Grab your 10 today. Hey guys, you've heard us talk about Helix over and over and over and how amazing they are. Well, I have some great news for you. Usually, Helix is offering our listeners 20% off all mattress orders. Well, now it's 30% off all mattress orders.
And 2 free pillows.
Oh! If you were ever wondering if now was the time to get your Helix mattress, today is the day.
We personally use the Moonlight mattress if you want to be like us and be absolutely obsessed with your mattress. If not, they have the Helix Plus, which is a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kids mattress, which is designed for growing bodies and endorsed by child sleep experts.
If I was given an option to have one dream for mankind, it would be that mankind only sleeps on a Helix mattress.
Absolutely. Helix is offering up to 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners.
Go to helixsleep.com/VIALL. That's helixsleep.com/VIALL. With Helix, better sleep starts now.
You're crazy.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Viall Files Ask Nick edition. I am your host, joined by the household. We got Scooter, we got Sweet Boy Justin.
Hello.
You know, recent mainstays of the Ask Nick intro. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. I'm
Right.
having trouble
Right.
sleeping these days.
Why?
My stomach.
Oh, you're just like, you're that
It's
pregnant
just
now.
so heavy. And every time I turn over, I just have to hoist myself up and
Have you enjoyed
over.
being pregnant?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it actually.
Really?
I've had a very thankfully easy time. I didn't get sick in my first trimester at all. I had energy the whole way through. I've been very lucky and fortunate. The last week, I've experienced pregnancy brain. I cannot, Danny will tell me, he's just like, you just start speaking and then you just stop. And
You have seemed a little foggy lately.
I'm
Aw.
foggy. I'm very foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
that's-
I
I'll
thought to
start-
myself as your boss, I'm like, you know what? I didn't want to say.
Oh
It's
no.
not for me.
I'm like, does he notice?
It's not Leia's fault though. That's
No.
our responsibility to learn how to riff with
as
your
someone who's
fogginess.
recently, been around a pregnant lady,
Yeah.
I empathize.
No, I
with your
appreciate it. And Nick literally asked me something the other day. I said, oh, yeah, for sure. And then 10 minutes later, forgot and it didn't happen. And I was just like, fuck.
That's why if you look at her desk, she has 5 million notes.
I have
Just in case.
reminders all over my computer.
I don't want to get into some personal questions, but I do know that Natalie had some wild experiences towards the end that were unpleasant at times.
I've experienced them all.
Yeah.
I know what you're
Um,
talking about.
I'm intrigued, but I want to ask.
Turns out, lots of feedback we got from you guys last week regarding gentle parenting. Thanks for the feedback. Turns out, I think we're generally kind of right in geniuses. My main takeaway from the feedback, and one in particular, was behavioral.
Yes, so this is Katie, a child developmental therapist.
Because our big question was how rigid is gentle parenting? My big takeaway from Katie, it's really focused around not shaming your child when they make mistakes. And gentle parenting in no way doesn't mean no punishment or boundaries or consequence for their actions. But depending on when your child makes the mistake, is it their first time making the mistake? Should they know better? Have you tried to set a boundary about this thing? But it is about having a conversation, but it doesn't mean no consequences. And that was
Right.
my big question. It does seem like gentle parenting has taken on as all things do, a life of its own. For some people, gentle parenting could mean, I don't know, like this kind of what fear was, is that like this whole collaborative effort with your child about like the rules they should have or the consequences for their actions, and which sounded nutty to me, but that doesn't seem to be what gentle parenting was intended for.
Right.
It was intended around not like shaming your child and calling them bad for doing something they wouldn't know better.
Right.
And even when they do make a mistake or not listen, maybe still not shaming them, but, reinforcing the boundary and maybe adjusting the consequence to see if maybe one is better suited for them.
Yeah. Should I jump into what she said just for our audience listening?
Mm-hmm.
So 2 of the main things she said is she agrees that gentle parenting has taken a turn far away from what it was originally meant to be. From the therapeutic standpoint, gentle parenting is providing your child with opportunities to be independent and explaining natural consequences to your children without shame. Overall, based off of what we shared, your perspective on parenting seems to be leaning towards the correct way of gentle parenting. Children need boundaries and need to understand why those boundaries are set. We can communicate that without shame. Obviously, gentle parenting looks different for a child 3 and under. As the child gets older, the boundaries become more firm because the child has developed more reasoning skills and emotional intelligence.
Nailed it.
Sounds good to me. I co-sign that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just basically instilling in your child that like they're not doing things out of fear or acting in ways out of fear of getting punished, and more so they understand the reason behind why they're not doing things or doing things.
Yeah. I'm all for teaching my kid independence. That is for sure. Really want to like, and since last week talking about bringing your parents to interviews, it was, there was a whole report that came out like 20% of kids are bringing their parents to interviews. I'm willing to bet though, it doesn't make it any better. Like, I don't know if parents are actually showing up for like on what was the Step Brothers, where they go in together and interview together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it's like that. My guess is like they're bringing their parents to the interview to like wait in the waiting room.
Oh, or like waiting downstairs in the car.
Yeah, which it doesn't matter. That's still fucking terrible. Like, they're not teaching people an interview the way they used to.
You were impressed with some of our interviews more so than others.
Well, and most of you kind of failed the basics of an interview, but none of you did them.
What did I do that failed?
Well, like 2 things that that don't seem to be a thing anymore. Like, one, when when your potential employer asks you the question, do you have any questions for us? The first question shouldn't be about like how long are the days or how many hours or how many vacation days. Not that any of you guys did that, but one question you all should ask. Everyone out there, if you're listening, and I'm guessing a lot of our audience are closer to like my age, and so they probably know this, but if you don't, this will set you apart because clearly no one's doing it. You ask the question, is there anything you've learned in this interview about me that would, cause you concern, that would make you think that I'm not right for this job? Or can I address any concerns? Just ask about this, you being a fit for this job directly. Give your employer an opportunity to address any concerns they might have, before I go, like, can I address anything you've learned that, would make you think that I'm not perfect for this job?
It's a great one. Second
question, if you're going to ask any question whatsoever, ask a question that like shows that you've paid attention in the interview. Ask a question as it relates to like, you'll be doing this, you'll be doing that. This is our goal. This is our focus of the organization. So you kind of repeat back what you learned. So like earlier in this interview, you mentioned yada, 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 yada. Like, it's like a follow-up question in a date. Someone says something about what they like, and you showed that you give a shit by, asking a follow-up question to what they said. So you're asking for further explanation. Just show that you can adapt and learn and take what they're saying, interpret it, and then repeat it back to them.
Active listening.
Yeah, it shows that you know how to take a note. Mm-hmm. It shows that you give a shit.
I will say they are teaching people, at least college level, not to ask specifics about like salary or pay or like hours, because the reason you don't do that is because you're showing you're not caring about like the person-to-person conversation, but it's also the job itself.
Yeah, well, you're also, it's like that's a vibe of like, what do I have to do, not what can I do?
Exactly.
You basically reek of bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
But no one's asking those type of questions. None of you guys asked what Kyle did.
What do you remember about our interviews?
Trader Joe's. I remember Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's.
I remember that you said you worked for Trader Joe's, and I was like, you're hired. Leia made it impossible not to hire her. No, Leia showed initiative through the interview process. Like she tracked down my agent, which no one, one of my agents, but like through the interview process, she demonstrated the work ethic that she would bring to the job.
I need to step it up.
Well, no, you mentioned
hired.
you work for Trader Joe's. You were willing to do real work, and I think there's a lot of people nowadays that don't understand real work.
I think it's important to have a job like Trader Joe's, being a waiter.
Yeah.
I worked at the front desk of a gym.
A real fucking job.
I do think it's interesting you didn't know I worked at Bravo.
Yeah, which is crazy. I don't read resumes.
Which is probably good.
Resumes are just like, those are something you filter out people who aren't even qualified for the job. And then you guys know that you guys do a first interview with not me. So by the time it gets to me, I don't need to read your fucking resume. I don't care.
Do you think most bosses don't read the resumes?
It depends on the stage of the interview.
Okay. Because now a lot of people have online like platforms that will do the resumes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just like
Right.
it's like hiring. It's like a dating bio. It's like someone else could have done this for you.
Well, AI is crazy these days. A friend of mine just got hired and her entire cover letter was written by ChatGPT. She just typed in like, this is my experience. This is the job I'm applying for. And it wrote her the best cover letter.
Did she get
It
the
was
job?
yeah, she got the job.
That's insane.
It was great.
Because cover letters are kind of like obsolete now too.
Again, those are filters. Those are just kind of filtered. Like by the time you guys get to me, it's a filter.
You're big on vibes.
Yeah. Personality, character, work ethic. You teach a man to fish type of thing. I need to know you're willing to learn and willing to do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what else are we getting into before we get to our callers?
Question.
Shoot.
How tall are you?
6'2".
What color is your eyes?
Brown.
You don't make the
You
mark.
fail.
Blue
Failed.
eyes, 6'5", trust fund.
Have you seen this viral video?
No.
Looking for a man in finance. Trust fund.
6'5",
Blue eyes.
Girl on a couch. So she
Finance.
made this song.
It blew up. It's huge. I think it's on Spotify now.
She basically gave sight to like this reality that most people these days want someone who's 6'5", has like the 6-figure job.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if this survey has anything to do with that. My thought is that it must, just because this video happened to blow up. But there was a survey that revealed where women across the country have the highest dating standards.
Yeah.
So they surveyed 3,000 single women aged 18 to 35 to find out where standards are highest and lowest across the country when it comes to dating.
Okay.
Firstly, it was if they would consider dating men earning less than 6 figures or those deemed below average in terms of attractiveness. Before we give you the stats, I'm curious to know which state you would think is the highest and which is the lowest.
I would say New York would be the highest. Lowest, I don't know, somewhere in the Midwest or the South. Alabama.
Oh, he was so close.
Arkansas?
It starts with an A.
Arizona?
No.
Nope. It's daylight 24/7.
Northern Lights.
Alaska?
There you go.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you were spot on with New York though. So, but on average, 17% of women nationwide said they would not entertain such prospects.
17%. A big problem with dating culture these days and why more and more people are having a hard time finding love is unrealistic expectations. And I think the internet has played a big part of that, whether it's the apps that we're using, social media, and things like that. Over 6 figures, forget about what their face looks like. Men 6 feet or over who make more than 6 figures and have, I don't know, a credit score over 700 or something like that is like less than 1% of the population. Right. And then you think about like fuckboys out there. So you go on the apps, right? And I don't know the exact stat, but I heard something. Dr. Scott Galloway, really love his stuff. He talks a lot about this. He talks a lot about like masculinity, healthy masculinity. He talks a lot about the problem with like, there's an epidemic of like very disenfranchised young men. He's very progressive in his viewpoints. A lot of great stuff. Dr. Scott Galloway of NYU. But he's mentioned that like in terms of what's going on in dating culture, it's just like you have this 1% of men, so basically it's kind of like on the apps, you have 90% of the women going after 10% of the men. So you have this small group of men getting all the sex, right? They're the fuck boys, right? And we talked last week a lot about Sierra and West, and that's a perfect example of West, we call him the average guy. No, West isn't the average guy. West is a 1%er. He's 6 foot. He's conventionally handsome. I don't know what his salary is, but he is also a celebrity. And I'm guessing between his show money and all this stuff he's making, he's probably making over 6 figures. There's not a lot of Wests out there type of thing. I know everyone likes to call them average, but, that's not the case. And so you have this large group of women going after this small group of men, and they're having all the sex. And we're acting like those are the only men that exist. And we're basically getting frustrated because all these men with all these options, and that's why they can act poorly, because no matter what, no matter how shitty they are, there is basically a whole pool of people willing to give the fuckboys a chance so that they can feel special and land their fuckboy, which is not a recipe for success. And they have so many options out there because so many other men are just completely being ignored. They're being swiped left on. Not 6 foot, yuck. No, don't make over 6 figures, yuck. And we're ignoring a large group of men and giving the small group of men all the opportunity. And it's because of hookup culture. Think about it. Like, we went from wanting to enter in relationships and get to know someone, and then hookup culture came, and everyone was just like, yeah, let's fuck. And so even when women want to have emotionless sex, who do you think they're going to have sex with? They're going to want to have sex with they're only look at looks. It's going to be more superficial picking and things like that. And now, you have a lot of people who want to participate in hookup culture without questioning if they're emotionally capable of handling hookup culture.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a lot of these poor behaving men who have unlimited options because 89% of all women are just going after 10% of men because their standards have become so unrealistic.
The survey continues and then asked women to rank the attributes they find most attractive in men. And the top attribute was a great personality.
Yeah, when a great personality, then a substantial salary, then good looks. It doesn't talk about height. And then it was living in an expensive property, having their own Wikipedia page, and ownership of a private plane.
That part's insane.
What
A
the
private
hell?
plane.
But as long as they have a good personality.
Yeah.
I also think I think the personality thing is bullshit. Especially
You think
when
people are lying in the
especially
survey
in hookup
answers?
culture.
Do you think people are fibbing a little bit in their answer because they want to not sound so superficial?
I think part of pretty privilege is people lying to themselves about how good someone's personality is because they think they're hot. I think we like to convince ourselves that people have really good personalities when, and deep down, we just think they're hot. And I think that's both genders. And that's part of pretty privilege. I think social media has created very unrealistic expectations on both sides of the aisle, and I think we act like we're I'm sorry, but West Wilson is not an average guy. He might not be a supermodel, you know what I'm saying? But he's not an average guy, and the fact that there's a lot of people on the internet acting like this guy is like a 5 is just ridiculous. It's objectively. He's not. He's literally in the top 1% of men based off of most of the standards that we are hearing about. Again, he's over 6 foot. He's conventionally handsome. I'm guessing he makes over 6 figures. And that's a very low percentage of men.
Yeah, for sure.
Or people, but we have this idea because of what we see on the internet that is like a bare minimum. Also, another problem we have, just to, get more darker, is that and Professor Scott Galloway talked about this. Currently, college admissions is like a 60-40 ratio. More women are going to college than men. Love that for women. Great. Amazing. But as we talked about yesterday, but what happens when those women who graduate from college want to only date college graduate men?
That was actually one of the questions on the survey. And the answer was 80% of women are open to dating a man without a college degree.
80%? Okay,
and
great.
85% would consider someone in a non-traditional job, such as an artist or a gig economy worker.
So that goes against that, because I agree with you that there's less men in college now. But
do you think that's accurate? Well, that's just a fact.
Right.
I do only because I think that now I think going to college is really important. However, I think that more and more people with social media are creating careers without the need for a college degree or to even go. Some of them are starting their careers before college age.
Do you think it's more important to women or men about dating your professional equal?
What do you mean by professional equal? Like salary wise or in the same field?
Not so much same field, but like, I guess could be salary, could be title. It's just like someone you feel is your equal in terms of like where you're at professionally.
I think about that a lot.
I think it would depend on your age too. Because for me, like I just graduated and my partner is still in college. So for me, I don't care because we're still at that stage in life. But I can imagine like 10 years later, I'd want someone that's not in college anymore and working professionally.
Like for me, I've always been turned on by women who are ambitious.
Yeah.
Now, for me, ambition doesn't always I didn't always relate to like
having a job
for work. I'm attracted to ambition. So if it is professionally, I find that attractive. I love that Natalie has her own hopes and dreams. I love that Natalie has been working with me. It's a lot of fun. I've always been personally attracted to that. But it's more about ambition rather than like, you know, as a young man being like, I gotta make sure I marry a woman who's like making a certain amount of money. Because again, like,
I agree with that point.
I've always been attracted to, you know, women who want to work. But when I thought about like what kind, you know, I always knew I wanted to have a kid. I always knew I wanted to get married. And then I always was like, well, me and my wife will talk about like how we go about like raising our kid and who does what. But I was always planning on me being someone who was willing to like help pay the bills. You know, I always remember being young, being like, and joking around, be like, I would love to be a stay-at-home husband and shit like that. And I honestly, like, if that would end up being, I would be fine with that. I also like to work, and so I always anticipated me at least either being the sole like breadwinner or being one of, you know, being a part of that
participant.
But it was just never something that like I thought about on a professional level.
Yeah, I think passion and ambition trumps the actual salary or job. I think it's way more important for someone to show that they have initiative and passion and they're excited and they want to pursue whatever they're passionate about, as opposed to like what the physical salary number is.
What about your girlfriends growing up? Like, has that always been the case? I feel like more women talk about the type of job or the amount of money.
For sure. Oh, it's a complete
spectrum.
It's a complete spectrum. Like I have a lot of girlfriends who want to be supported financially 100%. And so they care a lot about that number that their husband is making.
Yeah.
That being said, like when I was in college, like a year ago, it's aestheticized if you're talking to someone in a STEM field or like a STEM major.
What's
like
a STEM major?
So like science, business, engineering, like anything along that, like
tech,
computer science. Like if you're dating or talking to someone in that field as a college student, it's like aestheticized. It's like, oh, like you won, you know?
Interesting.
So that's why I think it's like an age thing, like what you care more about.
I am concerned about young men nowadays. I really am. I just like, you know, you go online and it's just, there is a limitless amount of content talking about how much men suck. Like, listen, men can suck. But it doesn't affect people my generation or my age. Like, I'm good. You know, I have the ability to, you know, to stay offline and things like that. What I'm worried for are young men, you know, teenage boys, young men who have, you know, your iPad kids, and they go online and all they see is how much they suck, how gross they are, how disgusting they are, how manipulative they are. And I just think we have an entire generation of men who have been made to feel less than. And I think there's a lot of young men out there, Dr. Scott Galloway talked about this, who are paying the price for the crimes and sins of men of my generation or older.
Right. I was going to say, I think that it's because women have been mistreated for so long. And finally, we're like standing up for ourselves. And it's like this generation of men is feeling the brunt of past generations of men's.
Yeah. I still don't think it's okay that like you can go online and it's a free for all on men. And like, it's like you go on TikTok, search hashtag men suck, billions of videos you can watch, or I hate men or men suck. You search I hate women or hashtag women suck, which I'm glad you can't find that. But you can't find it. It's literally not allowed.
I should ask my little sister what like the men in her or the boys at her age, because she's in high school and they're all iPad kids. I should ask her like what how they treat.
Yeah, I'm
'Cause,
worried. I'm worried for
I
them.
think a lot of them are more respectful though, because like my sister, when she takes pictures with guys, they're like kind of
Yeah,
like hands in, like they just won't like touch the girl because they want to respect the girls.
I'm glad men are way more respectful.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about on a larger scale. We're teaching young men that they're not valued, that they're not important, that they're gross and yucky and disgusting. And what are those young men doing? You know, what do they have access to? A lot of fucked up porn. And I think we're radicalizing young men. And you're either going to get like, you know, young men who have like, who are, you know, softer and more gentle, which I'm glad they're more respectful, but I don't really hear a lot of women asking for like softer or gentler men. I think it seems like women still desire healthy masculinity in men, and men who are emotionally intelligent and regulated, but still can demonstrate like healthy masculinity, which again, Dr. Scott Galloway talks a lot about like masculinity being like to want to be in service of others, like to protect the people you care about. Like to me, that's how like that. To me, that's what's masculine. Not that women can't do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not even articulating as well as he does.
No,
but
I get what you're saying.
I have a huge
though.
concern for that, because I think you're just getting either a bunch of like, you know, more demure young men, or you're getting men who have been have just been disenfranchised so much they've been radicalized, and they're now part of these kind of very toxic incel groups. They're deep in the like dark fucking porn shit, and I think it's kind of scary just the type of men I don't think we should put it this way. It's sad to say that unfortunately I don't think we're going to be in a position anytime soon to expect more from men. I think it's only going to get worse. Sadly.
Yeah, I mean, I think women are just this has been the norm for women for so long that they're just like, well.
All I'm saying for the heterosexual women out there who are looking for eligible and good men out there, I think it's unfortunately going to be harder and harder to find.
Overcorrection, yeah.
Because I don't think we are developing the type of men that we want. And I think it's kind of scary. I'm worried for my daughter.
And the options out there?
Yeah, I just don't think if you're a teenage boy online, I think you're learning a lot of the wrong stuff.
I would be curious to see this survey done in reverse.
Yeah, I would be curious. Anyways, fun stuff. Let me know your thoughts. I'm sure we'll create more feedback, and I'm curious. Yeah, but like I don't know. As a parent, I think more and more about this stuff. I'm concerned for our future. I know there's been overcorrection, and yeah, it's. I'm worried for the young men out there.
Yeah, I think we all need to treat each other with respect.
Yeah. And I don't want young men to pay the price for the sins and the crimes of men of my generation. And I think that's what's going on. Anyways, we have a great episode for you. We got some great calls lined up. But before we do, don't forget to send in your questions at asknick@theviallfiles.com. We have a great week lined up for you. We got a couple juicy cast members for a perfect match. We got reality recap 2 times this week. Don't forget reality recap this Tuesday, tomorrow. And another episode of Reality Recap, Brian Baumgartner is joining. We got Reality Recap 2 times this week. Don't forget, Reality Recap this Tuesday, tomorrow. And another episode of Reality Recap, Brian Baumgartner is joining us for a segment. It's going to be a fun week. Lots to come. We got some juicy Going Deeper episodes lined up down the pike. But this week, it's all Reality Recap. More of what you want, more of your pop culture Reality Recap conversations. It's going to be a fun week. Let's get to our callers.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name's Rachel. I'm 25, and I need help shooting my shot with a professional athlete.
Oh, okay. Other than like just reaching out and DMing them and asking them, what has propelled you to be interested in this athlete? Do you know them? Have you met them? Is this you literally being like, you know what, I have a crush on Aaron Rodgers and I heard he's single? What are we? How big is this fish we're trying to catch?
So I have met him in person. A couple weeks ago, I was out at a bar with one of my friends, and one of the athlete's friends actually approached me and was like, hey, my friend over there thinks you're cute. You should go talk to him. So I kind of got like pulled into the situation a little bit. We were like talking most of the night, flirting, like having a good time, kissing, whatever. And then we ended up
kissing,
going. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking, flirting, and kissing at the bar.
At the bar. Yeah.
How long did it take you to start kissing?
I don't know. Maybe like an hour.
Okay.
Like,
and did you know who he was when you met him?
No. He was just like some random guy at the bar with a group of friends. He asked me what I did for work. I told him, and then I asked him what he did, and he was like, "Oh, I play sports." I'm like, okay, like professionally, like what is this? Do you just do things for fun? You're unemployed?" And he's like, "No, I'm a professional athlete." And I asked him what sport he plays. He told me the team. It's like not uncommon to run into professional athletes where I live.
What's the sport?
It's a hockey.
Hockey. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like end of their season had just kind of happened. They didn't make it to the playoffs. So he was out with friends.
Are we talking NHL? Or are we talking minor leagues?
The NHL. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had no idea who he was. He brought up that he played for the NHL, told me what team, and I was like, oh, okay, makes sense. You know, they're kind of out and about this time of year. So yeah, we were like hanging out most of the night. He invited me to go to another bar to play pool with some of him and the other guys on the team. I brought my friend with me. And then towards the end of the night, he made a comment like, "Oh, if I make this shot in pool, then you have to come home with me."
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like that's pretty forward." Another part of the story
when he said that, regardless of what you said, what were you feeling inside? Did you want him to make the shot?
I think my comment to him was like, "Well, I was gonna go home with you regardless if you make it." So
you said that.
But,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like as a joke. But not really kidding. I was already kind of like headed that direction anyways.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which I don't really do, but vibe was good and like considering the situation.
Wait, so you were or weren't gonna go home with him anyways?
I was going to
go home with him.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You told him that?
Yes. I told him that, like, I was already thinking that in my head. And then he made that comment and I said, "Oh, I was probably going to go home with you anyways, but yeah, make the shot."
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So then he did that. We probably left like 30 minutes later. The only thing that like was kind of weird. So like I said, I'm 25. When I first asked him how old he was, he told me 23. I was like, okay, I've never done the cougar thing, but whatever. Like, I'm not really opposed to it.
You're 2 years older. That doesn't make you a cougar.
Well, like, I don't know. A 23-year-old guy compared to a 25, 26, 27-year-old guy is a huge difference.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just for fun.
Okay.
But the kicker was like 2 hours into it, he's like, "Oh, by the way, I lied to you." I said, "Okay, what'd you lie to me about?" He goes, "I just turned 21 a couple months ago." It's like, "Oh, okay." Which that makes an even bigger age gap. But I was like, you know what? I'm this far into it. Like, vibe is good. Might as well try something different. So I just went with it. So he's quite a little bit younger than me, but whatever. So yeah, we ended up going back to his house. We like fooled around. It was pretty late. And then we like both fell asleep for a little bit. I woke up, it was like 4 a.m. and I was like, okay, I got to get out of here before the sun comes up.
So how many bases did you didn't have sex?
We did not.
Okay.
No.
Like
no.
Second base, third base? What do we get? We take our clothes off. We just touch over the covers, under the covers. What are we talking here?
We were like closed off, like third base area, I would say. Yeah. All right. And it was fun.
And did he try to have sex, or like how did it stop rounding third base, so to speak, and going from home? I'm just curious. Like usually when you're that far into it, a lot of people just kind of say, "Fuck it, let's just go home."
Yeah. At that point, it was like he kind of did, and I was like, "Nah, I don't really do that." And he was like, "Okay, sounds good." Like cool. Respectful of it. Didn't really push or anything. Bare
minimum.
Yeah,
but sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I left his house at like 4 a.m, Ubered home, and I didn't leave my phone number or anything because I didn't have anything to write with. But I ended up following him on Instagram. He was asleep.
You just left in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Like, gotta leave before the sun comes up. I was not looking good. Gotta get out of there.
Gotcha. Right.
Yeah. So I ended up following him on Instagram the next morning, and he followed me back actually like pretty soon after.
Great.
And he follows like, I don't know, less than 1,000 people. Granted, the majority of them are people that he plays sports with or a bunch of girls.
Girls. Yep.
But whatever.
What do you mean by when you say whatever? What does that mean to you?
I mean, it makes it a little discouraging. Like if I try to say something that obviously he's following all these gorgeous girls that are from all over the place. Like this is just what he does, which I mean, he's an athlete. I get it. He's hot. A lot of people probably know who he is. He meets up with girls. Like that's kind of what they do, but it doesn't make me that discouraged. Like I'm still going to try.
And what are you going to try to do?
Well, I want to DM him and say something like compelling, not just like, hey, you're hot, let's hang out. The only thing is that right after I met him, he had mentioned to me that he was moving back to Canada for the summer, like during the off season.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not in my hometown right now, and he's not coming back till probably like, I don't know, 2-3 months from now.
Sure.
So I don't know like how worth it is to message him right now because he's not going to be here for a little bit of time. Just like put my name out there and he can respond positively, but then nothing ever comes of it. So he's gone. And then he's probably like getting with other girls in the meantime, which doesn't really bother me. This is mostly just to see like kind of what I can get out of it. Like if we just hook up or.
So, yeah. Question. What do you want to get out of it? Like, what do
I think more of like a fun thing.
What is that?
Like
what does that mean to you?
Maybe like we can hang out, like hook up. I know that obviously athletes are super busy, especially during season, because that's when he would come back.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like relatively fresh out of like a long-term relationship. So I'm not 100% looking to get into anything serious, especially with someone who lives that kind of lifestyle. But he was super cool and fun. And I felt like we like vibed pretty well.
Yeah.
So I'd be down for like more fun, casual with him.
All right. What do you like about him?
He was super funny, which I appreciated a lot. I feel like when you first meet someone, you don't always like get to see their personality. And he was very complimentary, which was nice. He approached or like semi-approached me first. I feel like I'm usually pretty forward. So to have someone come to me.
He had a boy.
Yes. Yeah. Which whatever. I mean, that works for me.
Cool.
Red flag.
Yeah. But think about it. He basically sent one of his minions. This is a guy who's very much used to being in control and in power, and he's very comfortable in most situations. It's a red flag because he is very used to being himself regardless. And he's very used to people feeling not on his level around him.
Yeah.
And he's aware of it. He's a professional athlete. Yeah. So and like sending one of your boys is very like he already like is positioning himself as a position of authority, you know?
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
I think it's really important you figure out what you want out of this. I think you're very much setting yourself up for potential disaster, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like if I shoot my shot and he says nothing or he's like not interested, like I'm not losing anything. Like we don't talk as it is, you know?
There's just like, I don't know you at all, right? All right. And the little bit you've been talking, the way you talk, it's just... It's pretty obvious to me, and I'm guessing the people who are eventually going to listen to this, that you're making a lot of concessions for this person that you wouldn't otherwise make for anyone else that, you know, that would have similar attributes and characters to this guy. But obviously, because he is who he is and he has a certain stature and aura and just name recognition, and it's obviously exciting to be hit on by someone who's a professional athlete and he's probably big, tall, and strong. But you are making a lot of I don't, you know, for example, I don't know, like if you were to sit down, I'm guessing you probably haven't done the exercise, but if you were to think out loud, you know, someone who's been dating, you got out of a serious relationship, and I don't know if you've given it any thought about like, what are my boundaries? What are my dating rules? Like who do I give time to? Yada, yada, yada. I know right now you're not like looking to jump into a relationship, but even then, right, as someone who's just got out of a relationship, I'm sure you've heard the phrase dating with intention,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever used it. I don't know. Or whatever, but regardless of whatever you're doing, whatever season you're in or whatever state of dating you're in, you should have some sort of understanding of what your boundaries and expectations are for yourself. Again, that's just to protect yourself, right? So in a situation where you're like, when people say you just want to have, like, what are your long-term relationship goals?
I mean, long term, like I definitely want to get back into a serious relationship with someone that is respectful and we are compatible.
Even more
we have a lot
long-term.
of fun together.
Even more like do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids someday?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. 100%.
And and so what I'm saying, like when people say, well, I just want to have fun, I don't doubt that you want to have fun, but part of it is like, you're not ready to jump into that emotional type, it takes a lot to be in an emotional relationship. How did your last relationship end? Were you hurt? Did you hurt the person? How long did you date? What happened? What's your emotional state of mind following that relationship?
We dated for 2 years.
Okay.
It was very toxic. Like he cheated on me multiple times. We were breaking up like every 4 to 6 months. I eventually ended it after finding out about girl number however many.
Gotcha.
So very traumatizing.
Okay. All right.
For sure.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go with that. I just want to point out that that makes me even more concerned for you.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Your last boyfriend cheated on you multiple times, right? In the conversation that we had about this athlete and this one night stand, not one night stand, but whatever, but this like one night rendezvous or whatever, like without even probably realizing, hearing you talk, you just made a lot of excuses or exceptions for him. It's like, he probably would do this, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were to like, after meeting this guy, right? Just like forgetting about not knowing his age or, it's like you knew he was an athlete, you had fun, but let's say you didn't know much else, right? Like if you were to a friend were to ask you like, how would you like want him to act? Or how would you like, what would you, if when you go on his Instagram, what would you like to find, and things like that? You would probably, say the opposite of like, oh, I would, I don't want it to be so obvious that he's basically just following his buddies and a bunch of hotties, Yeah. You wouldn't choose that for a guy that you would be interested in. Even a guy you want to have fun with. Like even a guy that you want to have casual sex with, I'm guessing if you got to pick, it wouldn't be, you wouldn't be one of many. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be like, you wouldn't be part of a roster, and you're kind of like, yeah, but whatever. Yeah, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that type of but whatever energy is, even if you don't have a boundary named, because again, I'm guessing you probably haven't done that exercise of actually consciously thinking about like, what am I comfortable with? What behaviors am I okay with? What am I not okay with? And when you see when you encounter a behavior that you're not comfortable with, you recognize it and then you remove yourself and distance yourself from that behavior. Right now, you are bulldozing through whatever boundaries you haven't even actually like intentionally set for yourself, other than like the obvious ones that like maybe everyone has, or like maybe you've kind of thought, but you haven't really named it, but like you just bulldoze through them all the time.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
So here you are,
you
got a 2-year relationship that ended that you described as incredibly toxic, that probably hurt you in a lot of ways that you maybe even haven't even totally dealt with. And now you're being a bit, again, I don't know, attachment styles, but avoid it in general. I don't know. I'm not attachment style diagnosing you, but like just generally when you say, well, I'm not really looking for a relationship, I want to have fun right now. That's totally okay for a lot of people, but you are in fact avoiding trying to get into a relationship. At least that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So why are you avoiding it? Well, maybe you do just want to have fun, but partly it's because you're just like, I don't know if I want to deal with the I want to disconnect from caring because last time I cared, it really hurt me. Last time I put my trust into someone, it backfired on me, right? So I'm just not going to care. And not caring isn't the way to go about your love life.
Yeah. Too extreme one way or the other.
Because the thing is, I mean, you care. You're calling in, you're asking for my advice, you're trying to strategize how you can send the perfect message, and you don't even know what you want out of it. So it's like you ask, like, what's a clever way or something I could say, I'm guessing, to stand out, and you want to stand out amongst the sea of other women he can pick from.
Yeah.
And when you say it out loud, that really devalues yourself a little bit.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like, I have no problem with you hooking up with a professional athlete. I have no problem with you, having a night of fun. I have no problem with you marrying a professional athlete. But if you're going to do that, I would love for you to be able to maintain your power and control in a situation and not act any differently around this professional athlete that you would any other guy you encounter. And you are very far from that.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Yeah.
So, we can, I DM him. I don't know. And to be what the answer is, like, what do you think you should send him? I don't know. I mean, we can come up with some funny, clever ones, but at the end of the day, he's going to respond not based off of your clever text message or whatever. It's just going to be based off of his lasting impression of you. You didn't have sex with him, so you got that going for you. And I don't mean that honestly, and like, I'm being a bit sarcastic, because now you're dangling the carrot, So he doesn't know what it's like to have sex with you. And that is, for him, exciting. That's a challenge. He's an athlete, so already you're dealing with a competitive person. He's 21 years old. You're dealing with someone who's, by your standards, not even mine, someone who's probably way less mature than you. And as a professional athlete, or like someone who's in the public eye or famous, that's going to be confusing. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you've heard the saying that like when someone becomes famous, like they cease to emotionally mature, like they freeze in time. Like if someone became famous at 15, then they kind of act like a 15-year-old emotionally for the rest of your life. A lot of people say that out in LA. I think there's probably some truth to it. I don't know if it's, totally accurate or totally true, but I think it stems from this idea that once you become famous, everything is catered to you, right? And then you're not really forced to, work through challenges or emotionally mature. So no one really pushes you, and you just kind of like stop maturing emotionally because that's the point in which you had everything brought to you. You had buddies walking up to girls for you, things like that. Who does that? Like, yeah. I mean, maybe his buddy had a girlfriend, but there's a good chance he didn't, And instead of him hitting on you, he went and he went up for his buddy, because his buddy was probably just excited to hang out with his professional athlete friend, Like if I were you, you know what I would have loved for you to do in that moment? Next time a guy comes up into you and says, my buddy thinks you're cute, you should go talk to him. You can say, well, if your buddy thinks I'm cute and wants to talk to me, you should tell him to grow a pair and come over and talk to me. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because that's the type of energy you need to present to someone like him. Someone like him, this 21 professional athlete, he's not going to take you seriously. You want to stand out? That's the shit you need to do. You need to stop changing your behavior when someone that you find to be impressive or attractive or like that, you get that kind of spark. And for you, that spark is a red flag. That is like, if you've ever listened to the show, you've heard me say a spark is basically it's like, I didn't make this up, by the way, but like but to articulate it even further, but it is a signal to you that you, again, are vulnerable to not enforcing your boundaries.
Yeah. And
you are like, so the definition of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So again, listen, DM. I mean, I don't know if you, for you, if you were my sister or my friend or, someday when River gets old enough and she, I would want for you to work on yourself more before you reach out to this guy. Because if you reach out to this guy now and you get his attention, I can almost guarantee you how this thing's going to play out.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll have sex with him. And best case scenario, you become part of his rotating roster and you become one of the girls he hangs out with and has sex with when he's bored, and then there's a good chance that you might, he continues to be his charming self. You tell yourself you're not going to like him. Well, you can tell yourself you're not going to like someone all as much as you want. It's not going to affect how you eventually feel. And well, maybe you're, just in general, women, not always, when they have sex can bond and, emotionally to that person they're intimate with. So all of a sudden now you have sex with the guy, you start feeling certain feelings that he's not, just as a man, doesn't normally feel, and especially since he's a guy who's just very used to like doing what he did with you with multiple people. It's a hard time. You're not going to stand out. Oh, finishing my thought, what I mentioned about maturity. Yeah, it's just like he also why it might be confusing is because someone who is his stature, he's got a lot of lived experience that a lot of 21-year-old men don't have. He's got access to a lot of money that most men his age. He's got he's traveling and seeing the world and doing things a lot of men don't a lot of men his age haven't experienced. So he, in a lot of situations, might present as mature because of his experience. But on the flip side, the more you get to know him, the more his immaturity will stand out. But that won't be until after you have fallen head over heels for this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think the position that I'm in is very avoidant. Like, don't get overly involved. Don't want to get overly emotional because I don't want to put myself in a situation to get hurt again.
But you are putting yourself in a position to get hurt again.
Yes. No, I completely agree with you. Like when I've told people this story, I think the professional athlete thing does kind of weigh over all else. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's so funny and fun. And, but when it comes down to it, one night is one thing, but long-term probably would end up hurting myself because would get attached.
Think of all the energy you are putting into this guy already.
Yeah.
And you know nothing about him. You haven't even had sex with him or slept with him. You're not in a relationship with him. And yet you are pretty invested already. You think that's going to decline?
It's not the same level of output because he's probably not thinking about me or.
Nope. He is not reaching out. He's not asking anyone for advice of what he should say to you if he were to DM you.
Yeah, no, just me.
But that's
on a level playing field.
That's my big takeaway is, for you to entertain someone like this, it's more about like checking in with yourself and asking yourself, like, how does this person make me feel? You've heard me say stuff like that before. And I don't mean like, oh, well, this is exciting, but that excitement also is like, he makes you feel nervous. He makes you feel out of control a little bit. I'm willing to do things. I'm catching myself saying, oh, it doesn't matter, that I am making excuses and telling things that normally would matter to me. And I'm telling myself they don't matter because of him. Why? Well, that makes me vulnerable to getting hurt. That makes me vulnerable to not enforcing my boundaries.
Yeah.
So listen, if you want to do dangerous things for the story or for the plot, if your heart hasn't been broken enough, go nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to do things just for the plot. Like I am in therapy. I am working on all of this stuff. My therapist doesn't know about the situation. So maybe that's why I'm kind of like going off the handle a little bit with it. But yeah, I think it all sounds like fun and exciting in theory, but I agree. Like I'm putting in so much or this much effort already. And I don't know him very well. Like it was one night. And if I don't want to just hurt myself in the long run, I should probably just kind of like leave it alone and focus on myself.
Your ego knows that he hasn't reached out yet. But the truth is that if he really wanted to, he would, and I would love for you to get to a place where you focus on the fact that he didn't reach out, and instead of letting your ego get triggered and tell yourself, hey, you need to prove to yourself that you do stand out in the sea of women that he almost certainly is hooking up with, because that is your opportunity to feel special. Instead of you doing that, I would love for you to just recognize that he hasn't reached out and that you are deserving already as you are, as someone who is, you stand, obviously you're a beautiful woman, like I'm sure you get a lot of attention from men. And I'd like for you to focus on that and let that be enough. Because, like, again, it is not your fault you got cheated on. But having talked to you for these few minutes, you clearly are not enforcing boundaries. I don't even know if you're setting them with yourself. And you are a victim to your ego, because instead of walking away, I mean, listen, and I'm not saying, listen, if you got cheated on and you wanted to work through it with your partner, like, there's a lot of people who decide to do that and it works out. But again, I have no idea what conversations you and your ex-boyfriend had, but having talked to you right now as someone who's so willing to not enforce a boundary or even set them with yourself with this athlete, my guess is when you found out you got cheated on, you were so hurt and so upset that you just wanted to figure out how you could kind of forget it happened, and you just wanted to hear I'm sorry, and you just wanted to hear I'll never do it again, and you were just like, I'm just going to believe him, because like you didn't want to face the pain of being cheated on, and you didn't want to face what you thought that said about who you were, and you didn't want to hear your ego. So instead of like sitting down with him and figuring out how could this happen, what does he have to work on, what does he have to fix, how can you build the trust back, and really like sit through that pain. Those can be a very difficult period for a couple who's working through stuff like that to fix the problem, because you have to face a lot of the issues. I'm guessing you didn't do a ton of that in your last. You're just kind of nodding and smiling. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, you hit the nail on the head with that one for sure.
So, all you are doing, all this, this. I think you meeting this athlete was a blessing, but like you have to see it differently than you're seeing it now. I think it was a reminder to you that you're not where you need to be, and right now you're incredibly susceptible to. I'm not worried about this hockey player, because in a chance he's in his off season, he's 21. How many 21-year-olds would you entertain?
Probably not many.
And do you think the 21-year-old athlete is more or less likely to be capable of being in the type of mature relationship? Forget about boyfriend or girlfriend. Just like let's say when I asked you, what do you want out of this? And you kind of described like this kind of casual hookup friendship that was kind of like, we would just like hang out and have fun sometimes. And like maybe we'd have dinner, or maybe he'd take me on a trip. Maybe we'd fuck. I don't know. But I would be so disconnected. It wouldn't bother me. Yada, yada, yada. And like what you were describing a fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm saying? Like you're describing a fictional movie.
Yeah.
And like you would never entertain a 21-year-old guy for valid reasons, because you would be like, I'm way more mature than what they're going to be able to bring, and I don't want to like babysit a 21-year-old guy. And you are so willing to throw that all out the window for the chance to be around him, a professional athlete, because your ego is very excited about, you telling your friends and that story and just the excitement. It's just like it would make you feel kind of special to be hanging out with him. And you are very susceptible to your ego right now. You need to figure that out, because what's not, it's not that you're going to hang out with him, because the only thing that's protecting you with this professional athlete is all his other options. So you move on from him, but you're going to find you're going to meet another attractive guy, and that attractive guy who, that you find attractive is going to trigger you just like this guy triggered you, that you're going to feel that spark. You're going to feel that excitement, and you're going to be susceptible, and you're not going to qualify him. And by qualifying him you're not going to get to know him to find out whether is this another fuckboy who eventually I'm going to fall in love with and he's going to cheat on me, or is this someone who actually is like a good guy who like wants the same things I want and is willing to like get to know me and allow me to get to know him so that we could see if there's something there, And you're not going to do that. And you're going to be susceptible to entering in another relationship where you end up getting cheated on again. And so when people like say, well, I've been cheated on by multiple partners, like, again, it's not their fault that they got cheated on, but it is your fault that you're not learning from your past behaviors and you're not working on the things that allowed you to stay in a relationship that wasn't worthy of you.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah, for sure.
You're doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result, which is the literal definition of crazy.
Definition of insanity.
Yeah. Insanity. So you need to start changing that behavior and recognizing it. You know, you can say, you can have that night that you had with that professional athlete. And you know what? You know, as much as I talk about like, ego and validation, like every human needs and is deserving of some validation, especially in a relationship. It's not, so like, let that validate you. You know what? Of all the people that night, he wanted me. Great. You're special. Right. And you can allow that, without you completely trying to figure out, well, how do I lock this guy down? How do I get more attention from him? Again, until you are able to look at his buddy who he sent over, roll your eyes and kind of being like, if he wants to talk to me, he can come over and talk to me. And until you can confidently do that, where it's not even like it's second nature for you to do that and not act like a dick or a bitch or whatever you want to call it, but like playful and just know that like you would never. That's a boundary you need to set for yourself. I don't let people send their buddies over to hit on me. That's lazy. I don't want to be with lazy men. I want someone who has the confidence and is willing to make the effort to come and talk to me and not like his first encounter set the precedent with you that you're not worthy and you're not worth the effort to walk over and say hi. You're not worth him getting nervous and, just like any other person, it's nerve-wracking to go walk over to a stranger and introduce yourself. And you weren't worth the effort. He sent his buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even think of it like that, but you're very, very accurate in that statement.
And that's how
lazy.
Your relationship with him started.
Yeah.
That was your first encounter.
Not ideal.
So you need to, then so like that's a lesson you can learn in the future. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a professional athlete or just Joe Schmo. But the next time someone sends someone over to hit on you, red flag. And you just kind of, and then, that's your opportunity. Next time that happens, you're like, if your buddy wants to hit on me, he comes hit on you. And then he would have, by the way, that athlete, had you said that, he would have done that almost certainly. And had he had not, you would have saved yourself. Because if he wasn't, then that guy has a very high opinion of who he is and what he thinks his role in any relationship is, which is like, he thinks he just should just exist because of who he is.
Yeah.
But if he were to come over and like accept the challenge of you throw out the gauntlet and he's like, all right, I love a challenge. Then that gives you an opportunity to like banter and tease. We're like, what, you like you'd have a minions or something? Like you're too, was I not worth getting, a little nervous to come say hi? You gotta, you gotta be on his level, you gotta be the person. He is so used to women like you changing who they are and their behavior because of who he is. And if you really want to stand out, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. It was like fun in the moment, but everything that you're saying is, if it was a normal guy or normal situation, even though I didn't know who he was, maybe just considering what I've gone through and the journey that I'm taking out of that, I probably would have done something more like, oh, if he wants to talk to me, he can come do it himself, and like teased him for that. That seems more like my personality, but I think considering the circumstances, probably just kind of taking whatever was coming my way. And you're right, it's not the way to start whatever this may have been, with him being lazy and not making the initial move and things like that. So he just was existing and thinking he's hot shit, which I mean, he was nice, but
I'm sure he was lovely, and I'm sure he's a swell
Yeah.
guy. And I don't know anything about who he is, but just like he's demonstrating, if nothing else, a lot of immaturity and a lot of red flags about someone who just doesn't think they need to be on people's level. You know, like he's not looking for his equal right now. He's looking for a good time. And the thing that you have a best chance of getting from this guy is most likely herpes and nothing else.
Yeah.
So,
for sure. And I don't want that.
you know, listen, if you get it, whatever, you'll live. But not to shame anyone who has gotten it, but you know, it is permanent, and you know, it's also more common than people realize, and his behavior is setting himself. Anyways, not to get into the whole herpes conversation, but yeah, listen, you have some work to do on yourself, and that's okay. We all do, and honestly, this is a blessing. This is a blessing, and this was the most painless reminder that you actually had some fun doing. Of you have some work to do when it comes to you going out there and dating. And right now, it was a very painless reminder that you are susceptible to getting hurt from men who are very capable of being in control around women they desire. Because right now, when you meet and encounter men you desire, you throw away all your boundaries and self-control, and you are a victim to your ego.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very accurate for sure. Which is why I'm in therapy.
That's awesome.
Trying to figure.
Have you been avoiding?
Out.
Have you just not had a therapy session, or are you avoiding telling your therapist?
I guess I didn't think that the situation was as deep as it was until you brought all of this up, and because like I said, everyone I've told just thinks it's funny and it's fun and exciting, but
it is all those things. But
yeah,
you for someone. Well, again, I don't think my advice wouldn't have changed had I not found out that your past relationship was you being cheated on. But now that I have know that it is that, I think it's that much more, I guess, serious, you know? But listen, it is fun and funny, you know? It's just kind of, you have to ask yourself, what do you want for yourself? And stop lying to yourself that it's like, I don't want anything. I just want to have a good time. What you want right now, what you want, what I'm hearing is you want to go out and still have fun and connect without getting hurt.
Yeah. Which is pretty hard to do.
Sure. Yeah. But you're not going to not get hurt by lying to yourself and telling yourself that you want to avoid connection, all while still investing a ton of your energy in people. At the end of the day, that's what you need to, like, if nothing else, if you leave with this, is that you need to be mindful of how much energy you put into any one person or thing. And it doesn't matter what you tell yourself or how much you care or don't care. The proof is in the energy you're willing to put into it. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care. And then, you know, I don't care about her. And then you spend all fucking day talking about her to your friends. You fucking care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how much energy you put into anything is the barometer for how much you care about it. And so ask yourself, how much thought have I put into this situation? How much thought have I put into this person? You care. So you really care about this guy. Maybe not in like in a romantic way, but you care about what he thinks. And if you care a lot, that means you are very much invested. And when you are invested in things, you are susceptible of disappointment, you know?
Yeah.
When you care about things and things don't go your way, does it affect you a lot or a little versus things that you actually don't care about?
Yeah. It's not going to bother me if I don't care. And if I'm doing all of this for something that didn't even really mean anything, you know, I think even regardless of the outcome of this, I would be slightly disappointed because of whatever he did or didn't respond or wherever it went, just because
of the energy you put in. Well, yeah, or just the energy you put in.
Yeah.
You know, if you were to, let's say, get into model planes and spend 13 hours making a model plane, and then it either broke or someone told you it looked ugly, that would bother you. You would care because you spent all day putting that model plane together. You put energy and effort into it. And so you would be invested. So whatever you invest in, you're going to care about.
Yeah.
And you are invested in him.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably too much.
Yeah.
But
so This is, yeah, like I said, big takeaway is this was a very painless, hopefully good lesson for you. And hopefully you can take this and go chat with your therapist and continue the conversation that you and I are having and what you need to try to work on is identifying this on your own without people like me or your therapist pointing it out to you.
Yeah.
And you should do this. You got to start by setting, what are your actual boundaries when it comes to dating? It's okay if you want to have the summer of Rachel, you know what I'm saying? But you can have the summer of Rachel. You can have boundaries so that you're not a victim of your ego, you know? And again, your simple boundary could be, if someone wants to hit on me in public, I don't let their friends do it for them.
Yeah. That one's pretty easy.
There you go.
Not hard to enforce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, next time, stop telling men that that they don't I know he's fucking around and playing pool, but he's like, if I make this shot, you're like, I was gonna go home with you anyways. Jesus fucking Christ! Like how? That might be true, but you don't have to point it out.
Yeah, I know. That was not good on my part. I don't like to seem like desperate outwardly or anything, but
it's not that you're desperate. It's what it is. It's pointing out that like you have no it's like you have
no boundaries.
You're just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this anyways. Like and it's also a sign to him that you can't hold your power and maintain your power, and that you're just
I know. That's not my best move.
It's okay. I mean, it's fine, but something for you to work on.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. So I think I'm gonna hold off on reaching out and shooting my shot and take all this into my therapy session next week and let my girl know about what's going on. And
you need to work on meeting men that you desire and not changing your behaviors and not and ignoring your boundaries, because that's what you do right now.
Yeah, I agree. That was the whole issue with my ex.
Yeah.
And I thought getting rid of him was going to help, but I mean, it did, but
sure.
Now I have to.
But now you are susceptible to just
momentum.
Finding, Matt 2.0, I don't know what his name is, but.
Yeah, God forbid. I don't want that at all.
Well, I can almost guarantee that's what's going to happen unless you make some changes.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you for sure on all of that.
Well, good luck. We would certainly love an update on how you have been able to incorporate this in the future, and maybe hopefully you've made some progress in the summer of Rachel. Listen, it's just check in with yourself. Slow down. When you meet someone you get excited about, acknowledge it. Hey, this is pretty cool. I'm excited. I'm interested. But what does that mean for me? It means that I am susceptible of giving in to things that I know eventually might hurt me. And you can say that to yourself, repeat it to yourself. You can do that in the moment. You could be at the bar. I don't know how much alcohol is involved in these situations, but you know what I'm saying? You can say, all right, here we go. Obviously it's pretty fucking cute, but I know old Rachel, what she would do. And let's just try to do things a little differently. At least play the fucking game, Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think so. I'll let you know how the summer of Rachel goes once I figure myself out a little bit more.
All right.
Learn how to enforce my boundaries.
All right. You got a ton of potential. Life's good. You're doing great, but just give yourself more credit than you deserve, and be more honest with yourself when you're in these situations. Because I think you're a perfect example of just the struggles a lot of us go through, and just how much of this is in your control. And how much of your power and control you are just giving away, just without people even asking. You're having a rummage sale and charging nothing.
Yeah. Well, that sounds terrible, but yeah, I agree with you.
All right. Well, you know how to act around men you're not interested in.
Yeah, for sure. That's not hard.
Well, but think about it and replicate that with men that you are. And it just comes down to checking in, slowing down, and enforcing those boundaries.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm going to work on that for sure.
All right. Good luck. Keep us posted.
Okay. Thanks so much, Nick.
Our pleasure. My pleasure. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Well, we know how difficult life can be. Doesn't matter what you're stressed out about, whether it's life, work, money, relationships, it doesn't matter. It's always nice to have a mental health professional to bend your ear. We all talk about almost every episode how important therapy is, and we also know how intimidating it can be, how difficult it can be to find a therapist that connects with you, and how expensive it can be. Well, when it comes to BetterHelp, they're helping with all of those things. It's more affordable than in-person therapy. Plus, they're working with new therapists every day to help ensure that they will connect you with a therapist that's right for you.
It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suitable to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge.
Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/VIALL today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/VIALL.
Home is your creative canvas, an expression of your unique style. Only Wayfair has everything you need to bring your vision to life. It's the place to shop for everything home, from sofas and beds to dining sets and decor. Wayfair helps you create a place to gather with friends and family so that you can be a happy resident of the neighborhood.
Or at work, because this entire office was brought to you by Wayfair.
No matter what your vision is, Wayfair has you covered. They have every style possible that you can think of. If you're rustic, if you're modern, if you're boho, if you're Scandi, Wayfair's got you covered at an affordable price. Wayfair is the go-to destination for everything home, no matter your style or budget.
A huge selection of home goods ranging from appliances and area rugs to beds and wall art. Everything you need for your living room, outdoor areas, bedrooms, and office, Wayfair makes it easy with fast and free shipping, even on the big stuff. They'll even help you set it up. Every style is welcome in the Wayborhood. Visit Wayfair.com or get the Wayfair mobile app. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name is Alex, and I'm 26, and I am scared to tell my parents that I'm back together with my ex.
Okay, 2 questions off the bat. Why are you back with your ex, and why are you afraid to tell your parents?
Well, I'm back with my ex after a very long journey of, he kind of came back into the picture around October time, so like 7-8 months ago. And I was totally against getting back together with him. And he just kind of whittled away at me over the past few months and really proved to me that he wanted to be back together with me. So as of like 2 months ago, we've been officially back together, and it's been better than ever.
Why'd you break up?
We broke up. So we started dating about 2 years ago, the first time. And then it was kind of, I was really young. He's 12 years older than me. So that's another factor. So
how old are you again?
I'm 26.
Okay.
And he's 38.
Okay.
So that was kind of a factor. I was 23 when we met, and I was pretty young and immature. And he was still kind of getting over a really bad breakup that he was in a relationship for about 4 years, and it was a very bad breakup. So he was still kind of dealing with that. And I don't think that he was really ready to be in a relationship. So then it kind of just led into kind of a hot mess of us being good together. And we ended up breaking up just because he kind of treated me like shit. And he ended up breaking up with me. And I've just been heartbroken over it ever since then.
When you say he treated you like shit, what specifically, how did he act?
It was kind of like, he would always blow me off whenever I wanted to hang out with him. It kind of came out after the fact that he was kind of talking to someone else at the end of our relationship. So it's kind of a cheating situation as well.
Were
I don't
you
know.
boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah,
we
were. Mm-hmm.
And so why would it not be cheating?
Right. But it was like, we were kind of like on a break situation. And then, he was talking to someone else on the side. So I didn't know that when we broke up, but it came out after the fact. And
what did he say about that?
When we started talking, we didn't talk after we broke up at all. But then when he kind of came back into my life, he took full accountability for it. And he was like, yeah, I was talking to her, and I didn't really know like how to end things with you. So I just kind of like ran another direction.
And how did he enter your life again?
We met through work, basically. So I did his health insurance for his company.
Okay.
So,
but how did he re-enter your life after?
We were actually, we go to the same church. So I was at church, and I was alone at church, and he walked up to me, and he was basically like, can we have a conversation? And so he came over after church and basically spilled his heart out and said that he would do anything that he could to be back together with me. And like he would spend the rest of his life making it up to me.
Oh my God.
And at that point,
the rest of his life,
like,
he went from.
Yeah.
Okay. And why was why was he so certain then?
we live in a pretty small town, so we would see each other around all the time. And he just said that he regretted how everything happened for the past year. Like every time he would see me, he would just regret that we broke up in the first place. So
okay, I'm sure that was nice to hear. And so you've been avoiding telling your parents, and you've been back together for the past 2 months, and not told mom and dad. I'm assuming that when you did end things the first time and you were very upset, at least one of them or both of them were people you expressed sadness to around the situation?
Yeah, so that's kind of another layer is my parents really did not like us together the first time around either.
Why?
I knew you were going to ask this question. So he kind of that relationship that he was in before, that girlfriend kind of trashed his name around town. And like I said, we're in like a super small community and everyone knows everyone. So he kind of got a lot of shit talked about him. And
what was the shit talk about?
I don't know, just like that he was kind of he was actually he like had addiction problems. So he was an alcoholic and he used drugs. So that was like added into all of that. So they kind of broke up because of that. And I just think it was a really toxic relationship. Yeah, she's kind of, that ex also has her problems I've seen firsthand. So
yeah, I don't doubt it.
I think that's she. Yeah. So it's just like a perfect storm of chaos for them. But so yeah, that was, I mean, the age combined with that was kind of why they didn't like him. And my parents are super protective of me. I'm the baby of the family, and I kind of have a track record of not making good decisions.
Okay.
So they were not on board at all.
When you say he whittled you down, and what is that like? So when he came back in your life and he's like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life making it up to you. What does whittling down look like? What did you first say? How did he court you? What did you do, if anything, to see if he was sincere with his words?
Yeah. So when he first said all of that to me, I was like, this is such bullshit. Like, absolutely not. This is just whatever. I kind of thought it was funny because I had just like spent the last year being like, he's such a loser, like all this stuff. So I was like, he's never going to follow through with it. And I didn't have any expectations around it, but I was kind of just like curious what he would do to, I mean, I was still like trying to get over him, but I knew I shouldn't be with him. So I was like, let's see if he'll actually try, because he didn't the first time. So, I mean, we would hang out. He would send me flowers. He would ask me on dates. He would, bring me coffee in the morning before I go to work. We had a ton of conversations about everything. And honestly, it kind of helped give me closure, our conversations from the first time. But then, I mean, I was like very, like, we're not going to be together for the first 5 months of us being in each other's lives again. I kind of thought that we would just be friends again. But then the more time we spent together, the more it was like, we're totally different people now. And he's done a lot of growth and change in his life.
How has he done that?
He is back in therapy. He was in therapy and then he stopped. And so he's back in that. He goes to church all the time, but he did that before too. It just seems like he has done a lot of self-reflection. And I feel like the first time we were together, it was like very much victim mentality. And now it just seems like he takes full responsibility for everything that he did to me, how he hurt me. He still apologizes. Like just yesterday morning, he was apologizing again for how he hurt me.
Does he take accountability for how he hurt his past girlfriend, regardless of the role she played?
Yes, he is like, I mean, I think that he knows that he played a big role in it. I've asked him that too, because I'm like, it's not just one person that fucks up a relationship. So I think that he takes accountability for it.
You don't know for sure though.
No,
I only ask because it's like it's easy. It's easier to take accountability when you want something from someone. He wants something from you. He wants access to you. He wants your attention, your time. He wants to be in a relationship with you. He doesn't want to be in a relationship with her anymore. So there's no incentive for him to take accountability other than just wanting to be accountable. And with you, it's unclear whether he wants to be accountable or he just wants you. And with her, you know what I'm saying? So if I were you, I would want to hear, if I were your parent, if I were your dad, I would want to hear, I'd want to feel like, I'd want to see him be accountable I'd be more interested in his accountability for his past relationships and the ones he doesn't want to be in, rather than how accountable he says he wants to be with you, because he is incentivized. Listen, as far as your parents go, you're just going to have to tell them. And that is just something, honestly, the longer you hide it from them, the longer, to me, that's saying that there's something inside you that doesn't fully feel secure and safe in this relationship. I don't doubt that you're having a really good time with him. And I don't doubt he's saying and doing a lot of the things that you never thought he would do, and he's doing. And obviously that's a great sign, and that feels good. And, it's early on. But, there's a reason why you're not telling your parents.
So the last time, I think the biggest reason I'm scared is because, I want to tell them. Like, I kind of want to know just like how to tell them.
There's no perfect way. They're not going to be happy.
Yeah, I know. I've kind of just been like, if I come at it with like love and like, I want you, because last time that we were together and I told him that I was going to be with him, whether they liked it or not, basically, my mom kind of stopped talking to me for a while. She didn't wish me happy birthday. And that like really hurt. So yeah, it was like a bigger thing than it should have been. And I felt like pretty abandoned by my family because I wanted to be with him. That's like why I'm scared. It's not really, I honestly feel super confident in like him and I's relationship now, but I don't want to lose my family over wanting to be with someone. And
do you think
like I want them to be there along the way?
For sure. It's obviously extreme for your mom. Like did your mom give you the cold shoulder for a while, or did she like cut you off?
Just kind of the cold shoulder. She didn't cut me off, but yeah, it wasn't good. And I'm super close to my family too, so it was very hurtful.
And are your parents? I don't know them. You know them. Are they that, I guess, extreme, or do you think they were that concerned? Is that typical behavior of your parents to do what they did?
No, it's not. I think that they were concerned.
So they have very strong feelings about him.
Yeah.
So much so that they kind of act out in ways that they don't even normally act out in.
Yeah. Now it's like I kind of lost credibility, I feel like, because I was defending him the first time. And then.
Well, yeah, my guess is your parents see how much you change and compromise for him. And that's, I'm guessing as a parent, fairly scary, because they see you not be able to enforce a boundary. They see you make excuses, and they see you because of your feelings, which is why, it's always easy, people always, why is it always easy for other people to give advice, but harder for you to take it, right? Well, you're emotionally invested in this situation, right? So for you, it's hard for you, it's going to be harder for you, period, to recognize a risk, to give the same advice to yourself that you would give to a friend, because you are invested in the outcome. And your parents, I guess maybe they're invested in the outcome because they don't like them, but like they see you struggle. They see you accept behaviors that are not worthy of you. And in the first time you hung out with this guy, they saw you make excuses for him. They saw you accept behaviors that they never thought you would accept, or they saw you not accept with people that you weren't as interested in. And that must be very nerve-wracking and scary for a parent to see their daughter lose control of themselves for another guy. Because that's kind of what happened, is you lost control.
Yeah.
You were so emotionally invested in the outcome with him that you had a hard time controlling your emotions. And then it took you almost a year to try to get over this guy. And before you could fully get over him, he popped back into your life. And thankfully, you got over him enough that you had the wherewithal to say, hold on, buddy, I don't know if I totally believe you. But the truth is, like, you never really ever said no. You said you gave the illusion of no, but your curiosity and your ego wanted to see if he really could change. So you let him back in. And even though you told yourself, well, I'm not going to date him for at least 5 or 6 months, that wasn't really true either. That was you, again, kind of lying to yourself and making yourself feel like you're actually saying no to him. But you kept hanging out with him probably almost every day. And the more he wanted you, the more you kind of said yes. But you just made him, instead of asking once, you made him ask 3 times, type of thing.
Yeah.
So listen, I have no doubt this has gone very well. And I'm not trying to doubt him. I do believe people can change. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a risk. You're taking a risk. And I don't know what else to tell you.
Sure.
And you have to recognize that risk. And you have to recognize that you're only 2 months in. And you're just going to have to do the work. And as far as your parents go, the best thing for you to do is to empathize with their concern.
Right.
You can't get defensive. And you can't act like a victim. That bothered you with him.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a victim in this situation of your parents' disappointment for you hanging out with them. That's a choice you're making. And you have to recognize that your parents have every valid reason to be concerned. It's the normal response.
Mm-hmm.
For your parents not to be concerned would be for your parents to honestly not really give a shit about you.
Uh-huh.
And you don't want your parents not to give a shit about you. So you really need to empathize with their concern. You almost need to appreciate and be grateful for their concern. Understand that you're probably not going to take their advice right now and you're going to take the risk. But that's, if you say this, I don't think your parents should be like, oh, okay, well, you say it like this, we're going to be fine. They're going to be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you're going to honestly say or do to make them be like, yeah, you know what? Great. Let's bring him on over. We love this guy. At first, right? But the best thing you can do, instead of being defiant, instead of acting like you don't care, and to your parents sounding delusional, because if you show up and say, hey, mom, dad, I have something to tell you, I'm dating Rick again. And honestly, it's better than ever before. And I know you're concerned, but to be honest, I'm going to date him anyways. So like, I'm just telling you out of courtesy, but like, it's been amazing. He's in therapy. They're going to be like, oh my God, she is blinded by this guy.
We don't care.
Again. Not only do they don't care, they're just going to be concerned because they're going to be, it's not that they don't care. They care deeply. They care that you are not making sound decisions and that you are, thinking with the wrong brain or whatever you want to call it. They're going to think that you're not seeing things clearly, and they're going to be concerned because you have a history of making poor decisions for yourself. Like you've said this out loud. So what have you done to make the different decisions for yourself? I don't know. But the best thing you can do is at least say, mom and dad, I'm going to tell you something. I know you're going to be upset, and I just want you to know, like, I understand your concerns. And I also understand that I'm taking a risk. But it's a risk I bet if you said that would make him feel a little bit better. Because my guess is, up until this point, every bad decision you've made that you've almost realized is you've denied that it was a risk. That you just pretended that it was some sort of great decision, and you were, with all your friends or your parents, anytime they would question you, instead of acknowledging the risk, you would try to convince them that it wasn't. That's
very true.
And that sounds like delusion. And that makes us more concerned for the people we care about when they start sounding delusional, because we see that they're not being honest with themselves. They are ignoring the signs. They are ignoring the red flags. And then, we're just like, all right, well, when you realize what we already realized, let us know, because to pick up the pieces, So for starters, you acknowledging your risk with him and knowing that that you accept that risk and know that it might not end the way you still hope. Your parents hearing that, well, I'm guessing will give them some peace of mind. I don't think it's going to make them happy, but I think that will give them at least some peace of mind. But you have to make sure that you can still be happy with how things are and still recognize that there's still some risks in this relationship. Do you? I mean, do you recognize that there are?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean,
because you are so far from being out of the woods, it's not even funny.
Well, like he's
still in the prove it stage. He's still in the this is so very new. Like he hasn't proven shit yet. He doesn't prove anything until he knows he has you, until you are emotionally connected, until you are both invested. And then when he's no longer worried of proving to you or your parents or to anyone, and his behavior stays consistent, that's when you'll really know. That's the risk that you are entering in. The risk is no matter what he says in now in the next couple months really doesn't mean anything, because he doesn't even really know. He doesn't know how he's going to act when he has nothing to prove. And he has so much to prove right now. That is what's motivating him.
That's true. It's a scary thought. But yeah, I mean, like, even if, like, also with my parents, it's like, even if, like, it does end poorly again, or like, even if I am making a mistake, I want them to be there to support me and like
Sure.
be there by my side.
Well, the best thing you can do is just show them.
Like, I don't,
The best thing you do is you can show them that you recognize your risk.
I don't know what's going to happen, but like, I want you to be there with me along the way and like help me and like see our relationship firsthand and not just like judge it from the outside they haven't even met him. So they've never met him in person. So I'm like, it kind of is just, I don't know. It's like he's not even a real person in their mind.
Yeah, well, they've heard, they've witnessed how he's treated you. That's all that matters to them. They've witnessed how you are around him, and that that matters. They see how you act.
Just like I just don't know like how to even like start the conversation with them about like.
Well, that's the thing. There's
it kind of is like I'm invested in him now. Like I'm gonna see it out. Like I can't walk away from it right now. Like I feel so good and confident right now that it's like even if they were like you shouldn't do it, like I would still do it. You know. So, but I don't want to be like, well, be there or don't be there. I'm going to do it anyways because that's like kind of how I was last time.
Well, then don't say that. Well. You know, I understand that's not what you do regardless, but how you deliver it matters, you know? And again, I think it comes down to, I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think you fully understand the risks. I think you're so excited and happy right now and thankful you finally got what you always wanted. You know, that's kind of where you're at. And that's totally normal. And I understand. I'm not trying to rain on your parade, but you know, this is a big risk. It's an emotional risk. And I've taken risks before. You know, I'm not knocking you from taking the risks. You know, I'm not telling you to end it with this guy. I'm just telling you to be hyper aware and honest with yourself about the risks that you're in. And you need to keep checking in with yourself and you need to keep doing the work and you need to keep, you know, focusing on you and asking yourself, you know, how I'm feeling about this relationship. You have to be willing to still check in with him and challenge him. And not just be thankful that he's there and not just be thankful that he's sorry. You know, you just, you know, you got to continue to grow the relationship and And even then it's just like you.
And I feel like I mean, and you don't really care about that, but like we do like talk like every day about how we're going to like be better together, like how he's going to be better, how I'm going to be better. We're both like very much into like therapy and like working on ourselves. So
that's awesome. Yeah, listen, it could definitely work out. But, you know, the fact that he is an alcoholic, you know, that in itself makes it riskier.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I don't know much about alcoholism, but I imagine it takes a lot of energy to stay sober, you know, over time. So that's energy he has to invest in his sobriety as much as he has to invest in you. And maybe, maybe that's not a fair thing. I just saying, like, he's got a lot going on.
Yeah. He does. I mean, he's been sober for 4 years, so he's pretty like stable with that. But yeah, he does have a lot going on.
You just got to take, and you got to be willing to take it slow too.
I've
what conversations about the future have you guys had recently?
Like, pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, he is very much like full speed ahead.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah, I've told him that it like bothers me that he like talks about it that much. Like obviously like I always tell him like I'm not just like dating you for fun. Like obviously I do see a future with you, but like it's not like I want to turn around and get married tomorrow.
You guys, you still don't know each other. You don't. You're getting to know each other. You know a lot about each other, but there's way more you don't know than you know. And no amount of conversations you have and no amount of like all night talks are going to make up for just what time is going to bring you and lived experiences and seeing and putting yourself in situations that can cause stress or, you know, when life gets him down, you know, work or whatever, you know, how does he stay connected to you and in the relationship? How does he continue to prioritize you when he is comfortable with when he no longer is afraid of you accepting him or your family accepting him? Again, like, then how does he act? But like, you know, that might be a year or two from now. And you have to admit to yourself that you are
scare me.
And that's fine. Like I'm not, every relationship has its risks, even ones that, you know, don't come with a lot of baggage, you know, like this could be a new guy who isn't an alcoholic, who doesn't have the history that he has. And it could still be a risk. There could still be risks that you're completely unaware of. Your parents could love a guy that you're dating and he could be the biggest piece of shit behind closed doors, so who knows? But the fact is, this is a risk and you need to accept that and be okay with that, but not deny it.
Yeah. And every single concern I have, I bring it up to him immediately.
Yeah.
So, and he's usually very receptive and takes accountability for it and has changed when I ask him to change something.
Yeah.
So, but
how can you tell your parents? I guess you sit them down and you say, Mom and Dad, I have something I want to share with you. So I'm just going to say it. You could say it's going to upset you. Just tell them because you know how it's going to feel. And no amount of prefacing it is going to help their anxiety. It's just I have something to tell you. I know you're not going to be happy with it, but I do want to come. I love you. I care about what you think. I am seeing Rick again. Now, I know that's concerning for you, and I completely understand why. And before I say anything else, I just want you to know that I recognize the risk I am taking. That being said, I do feel like I'm really putting into work to try to make better decisions for myself. And I know that probably, me telling you I'm seeing him again sounds like the opposite of that, but I would love the opportunity to, show you guys what, the type of relationship we have been working on. And I don't know if this is going to be end game for me, but I really feel good. I feel better about this decision. And again, I understand there's a risk, but we are really putting in effort. So I don't know how you're going to feel about it. I don't know if you're going to accept this decision, but it is a decision I am making. And I don't want to sit there and say I'm doing it without your support because I always want your support. I'm really trying to be the most mature about this. And again, the more mature you are with telling your parents and less defiant and, temper tantrumy or I'm doing it regardless or not showing. And how do you handle their disappointment? The more calm you can stay, regardless of what your mom says or your dad says, and you have to continue to empathize with their concern. I understand your concern is valid. I know this is worrying you, and I really don't want to. The more calm, that you will show your maturity, and they need to see that in you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm guessing up until this point, all they have seen when you don't get your way is you stomping your feet, some version of this, some adult version, and throwing a temper tantrum and telling them, you don't really know me, you can't tell me what to do, and just being defiant. And that is, you're just proving to your parents why they should be concerned.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I've been putting so much thought into how I'm going to do it because I don't want to approach it the wrong way. And then it just that be another layer of us figuring out if we're even supposed to be together.
Well, you accepting, acknowledging, and empathizing with their disappointment all in a calm way and giving them the grace to say whatever they want and voice their concerns without it triggering you and without you getting defensive will go a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I feel
this is going to be a journey.
The first, the first part, but I'm scared that they're just going to really drill me with a lot of questions and I am worried that I'll get defensive. So I need to go into it, with the mindset of staying mature about it and just understanding.
And so the only thing, when you tell them if they get triggered and they maybe, you could say, hey, listen, I understand your concern and I understand you feel a certain way about him. And I'm more than happy to talk through your concerns. And I'm more than happy to acknowledge he's got some things to work on. But I would appreciate it if you don't call him names or, you know what I'm saying? It's if they were to do that, right? If they were he's a piece of, you don't have, we can talk about him, but you don't need to talk about him like that. But you got to do it calmly. Yeah. And it's just, you gotta show, up until this point, you haven't shown your parents your ability to make sound decisions for yourself. You just haven't. So until you do, they have no reason to believe you're going to. And on its face, you dating him again is the opposite of that. But you might be able to act differently this time around when telling them, and then over time, again, lead with love and just if your mom's just I just need some time. I understand. You need to be. This conversation should include a lot of I understand how you feel. Your feelings are valid. I totally understand why. I get you're concerned. A lot of that. I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate your concern. Your concern means a lot to me. I understand that I'm not like agreeing with everything or listening to it all, but I do appreciate it because I know it's coming from a place of love, mom and dad. I really do. I really like, and I again, I understand my risks. I know this is a risk. I like to think that I'm really trying to go into this with my eyes wide open. I'm working on maintaining my eyes wide open while I go through this.
Right.
And here's how I'm going about doing it. Again, there's no guarantees, but like I'm still getting to know him. You got to, be careful about saying things like, well, we've been better than ever. And like, we've never been stronger. And like, that sounds like delusion. It's
I'm
more
glad
like
you said that because that's something I probably would have said.
it's just like things have been really good so far, but we are taking it slow, and I'm really focused on getting to know him and working on things, and I'm being intentional with my choices and decisions, and we'll see where it goes. I don't know the future, but this is something I do want to try, and I'm really working on making better decisions for myself. So I understand it's disappointing. I understand your concerns. I guess I'm asking for your support, but I know there's a chance you're not going to give it, but I don't want this to affect our relationship,
Yeah.
And I still want to
that's
be
the scary part. Like, I don't want to have to choose between dating someone in my family. So.
Well, don't.
Yeah.
Just, even if your mom gives you the cold shoulder, you can still reach out. On your birthday, you could have texted your mom, I love you and I miss you, but you didn't. You were stubborn. You were waiting for mom to, you played the game of chicken, you lost.
I called my dad crying.
Yeah, but like
my dad was kind of like the one I could talk to the whole time. Like my mom didn't listen to anything that I had to say about him the entire time last time.
So your mom's scared. She's scared for you. That's why. And you need to recognize that and empathize that. And rather than getting mad at mom and angry at mom, you need to empathize with her concern and know that she is scared for her daughter.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe your mom sees some of her own decisions she's made for herself and you. I don't know. But
well, I just feel like my family has, like, everyone has had literally the easiest, simplest lives, and I'm kind of like the black sheep that like went out and did something different, and like I didn't follow the exact same path as the rest of my family. So it's like, oh my gosh, Kinsey's crazy. Like, what?
Well, what do you mean? Like, again, different path and black sheep are two different things. Like, you're the one who earlier said, I have a habit of making bad choices for myself.
Yeah.
Is that true? Or are you just saying that because you made different choices than your family?
It's more so just like I've been like the rebel child. So like, I don't really think that my choices were bad necessarily, but my family kind of sees them as bad.
Well, what would have been the outcomes of these decisions? I mean, we know about him.
I feel like I turned out just fine. So
I mean, you look you look like you have, you look like a wonderful, capable human being. But I guess, how have you struggled? Well, again, like, you don't even have to answer.
Just like, it's more like, I feel like my family, it's like, you're not allowed to make a mistake. And it's like judged when you do make a mistake, or like when you try something new, or so it's just like they're from an even smaller town, like 5,000 people, that they all married each other in the small town. And then
maybe there's just so you say to mom and dad, it's like, listen, obviously, like, I'm someone who's a little bit more of a risk taker, but again, a lot of it is just like, it's just, again, this is coming from a place of love for your parents. They just want to see you capable of making good decisions and accepting the risk. And, it's just like, because I'm, again, guessing up to this point, you have not at least demonstrated to your parents that you were aware of the risks.
Yeah.
You went in confident that you knew how it was going to turn out, and your parents were like, all right, sure, great.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then I was
and they ended up being right more often than you,
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it kind of just sucked last time because, like, that's why this time I want them to be supportive of me. It's because, like, I didn't, even when we were going through our breakup, it's like I kind of had to do it on my own and like lean on my friends that supported me no matter what.
Yeah.
So it was just like, why can't you support me no matter what?
Everyone supports people differently. I don't know. And like, listen, I'm sure there's things your parents, it sounds like maybe there's things that you and your mom can work on with your relationship.
Yeah, there probably is.
But it goes both ways, and you are an adult now. And, it's like, it's like what do you want? Do you want your mom to be your mom? Or, you know what I'm saying? I guess it's a bit almost when you talk like that, you're almost kind of contradicting yourself. Because on some version, you're just like, I just want mommy. I just want mommy's support and love. I just want her to be there for me. Kind of like you were when you were 12. But also when you were 12, your mom had the power to tell you what you could and couldn't do, which she no longer has. You know? And the only thing your mom has is the ability, what she thinks is to give you the cold shoulder and deny you the love and access that you were so used to getting as a child. But as a child, she had the right to say, you're not allowed to do that. And you had to listen. Now you don't have to.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And so, you get what I'm saying? You want that like unconditional love and support. And your mom, what your mom wants for you is your own happiness and your peace of mind. And she doesn't want to see her daughter emotionally struggle. And she doesn't want to see her daughter take a whole year getting over a guy that she thinks isn't worthy of her time.
True.
So you need to empathize with where your mom's coming from better than you are, and take your own advice. When it was frustrating for your boyfriend to act like the victim, you need to recognize when it comes to your mom, you played the role of the victim. Why can't you just love and support me? It's not fair just because I'm making different decisions than other people. Well, those decisions have brought you frustration at times, and that's part of life. Listen, I'm not telling you to change who you are. I'm not telling you to be less of a risk taker. I'm a risk taker. I'm just telling you to like get better at acknowledging that and then owning those risks and decisions by maintaining your calmness and your ability to empathize and validate the other people's feelings who share their concern for you.
I will, for sure.
All right. Was this helpful?
Okay. Yeah, it was. You told me a lot of things to not say that I was prepared to go in with. So I definitely, need to.
And listen, you're not going to remember everything I said, but I want you to remember is you need to acknowledge your risks, empathize with the people who have concern for you, and maintain your kind of calmness. Those are the three things I want you to remember. And then when this episode comes out, you can listen to this back and. But
yeah, I need to do that. So I'm going to be gone for the next 2 weeks. So
you're not going to prove. You're not going to prove to them in one conversation, and there's nothing you can say to them that's going to make them feel okay about this. The only way they're going to feel good about this is to see how you act around him and how you act to them when talking about this, and how you two act as a couple over time.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you're going to have to continue to show your parents your willingness to connect with them. So it doesn't matter what mom does or how she acts. You still reach out to her and you say, I love you. You be the big person in this relationship. Because sometimes when your mom pulls away, she's scared. She needs that comfort from you, that security. You're playing this game of chicken of who's reaching out to who. She's trying to send a signal by not reaching out to you for your birthday. So you need to send a signal back that, Mom, I'm okay and I love you. And it's okay. I understand you're upset, but I love you and I miss you. When you're ready to get together, I hope we do. And nothing's stopping you from ever sending that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll get out there.
All right. Keep us posted.
Thank you so much.
Would love to know how this goes.
Yeah, I definitely will.
All right. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thanks so much. Bye.
If you have sensitive skin, you know how hard it is to find a product that doesn't cause irritation. Well, I know that. But today's sponsor, OneSkin, makes it easy. Their topical supplements are formulated with soothing ingredients and even natural antioxidants. Plus, they're gentle enough to use every day, even if you have sensitive skin.
Founded by an all-woman team of scientists, we love that, OneSkin's products are backed by an extensive lab and clinical data to validate their efficacy and safety on all skin types. The product that we rave about, that everyone raves about, is their OS1 peptide. OneSkin scientists found the OS1 peptide reverses skin's biological age by reducing the number of senescent cells by up to 50%.
In a third-party 12-week clinical study performed by a third-party research organization, OSO OneFace was clinically proven to strengthen the skin barrier, improve skin health markers, and diminish visible signs of aging. Wrinkles were diminished in 87% of users.
OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer.
This guy ain't getting any younger, but his face is with OneSkin. Get started today with 15% off using code VIALL at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code VIALL. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
There's a lot of decisions you have to make when you have a baby. And the one that I feel the most comfortable and safe making is using Huggies for our daughter, River. I always tell Nick that when River's crying, she's trying to tell us something. And that's the case with most babies. They express it through cries. And so we've turned to Huggies. The new Huggies Skin Essentials are here. A brand new dermatologist-approved line of diapers, wipes, and pull-ups training pants that are all designed with baby's sensitive skin in mind.
Their wipes are so thick and pH balanced to help maintain healthy skin. Their wipes have 0 harsh ingredients for a great, gentle clean.
The Skin Essential Diapers features the Skin Protect Liner, which is what helps take care of the ick and stick that can cause rash. They have this liner built in their diapers.
The whole diaper helps protect against the top 2 causes of rash by managing moisture and running mess. The liner gives you the barrier to help absorb moisture and lock away runny mess from baby skin. Pull-Up Skin Essentials has your big kid covered too with a training pant that is ultra soft and breathable to help protect sensitive skin through potty training. Learn more at Huggies.com.
Once again, head to Huggies.com to learn more.
How's it going?
Hey, it's Stacy. I'm 30 years old and I'm doing good. I just wanted to call and ask if my career was a turnoff to men.
Okay, what is your career?
So my career is I'm a real estate investor and developer. I do everything from like flipping to rentals to new construction and land flipping and wholesaling real estate.
Why do you think this might be a turnoff to men?
I feel like there's been a lot of times where I mention my career and things start to go like weird after that. And I think I really started to notice it when my ex-boyfriend told me that he would rather be the girl who worked at McDonald's than like a girl who had owned her own business.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. So
how long did you guys stay together after that?
Like a year.
What did he do for work?
He was a recruiter.
And did you ask why he felt that way?
Yeah, he said that he was waiting like his whole life to finally like start making 6 figures, and when he started to, it didn't mean as much because I was doing so much better.
Okay. How old was he?
He's 31.
All right. I mean, listen, the short answer to your question is maybe, I guess. Sounds like it was for your last boyfriend a turnoff. And yeah, I guess there's probably a lot of men who can feel emasculated by the success of women. And that is, I guess, just a sad reality of certain things. But I guess, it's one of those things where what would you give up your career to appease men?
No, I mean, I don't want to work in my career forever. Like the reason why I'm grinding so hard right now is because I want to be able to retire early.
Okay.
Like I want to retire at 35, just like live my life and, be able to support myself. Because at the end of the day, like I can only rely on me, right? So like I don't have a man or like a family who can like support the lifestyle that I want to have. So I just continue to work hard to try to still obtain that. And then like I'm hoping to find someone along the way. But it's been kind of rough for me. And I don't know if it's necessarily my career or if it's like everybody's going through this or my personality. I have no idea like why.
What do you think your personality is like?
To me, I'm just like bubbly and like silly and like sweet. And like, I'm also no bullshit too. So that can be a little contrasting, but like, I'm not like that often. Like, I have a backbone, but I'm still like a sweetheart. And like, I don't know, like, I feel like I just come off like this, like, just like.
Yeah. I mean, you come off as bubbly and sweet, I guess. Right. And I don't know what you mean by no bullshit, but.
Like, how like people who are nice, like they like also are pushovers. Like, sure. I'm not like that. Like I'm like, I have it all together. Like I have a backbone. Like I just also am nice.
Yeah.
And
how old are the men that you usually date?
So I can tell you about the recent date that inspired this, but like usually I date men who are around my age. Like I don't really like people too much younger, too much older. So like maybe like late 20s to early 30s.
Okay.
But okay, the last date that I went on, the guy was like, I think in his 40s, because he has a kid in college. So I'm just kind of assuming I didn't ask.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't ask, and so on the date with him, I thought this was going to go great because he does exactly what I do. He's a developer. He's been investing in real estate for like 7 years. I've been in it for like 8 years. Before that, he was an engineer. So I was like, oh, this guy's like really got it together. Like no way possible. Like my career would be a deterrent. He'd probably actually be more attracted to me because like we could clearly team up and be a power couple in real estate. And I'm on the date and it's going really well. And he's like so happy to see me and like all complimentary. Oh, you're so beautiful. I love your smile, blah, blah, blah. And we get to like the question about like, oh, what do you do for work? And like I hadn't really touched on it because it's like, it shouldn't be like something I'm scared to talk about, but it is. And so like we started talking about like, he was like, you're a realtor, right? And like for me, that's a little bit of a trigger word because I'm like, I do so much more than that. So I was like, no, actually, like I do the same thing as you. Like I've been doing development. I'm rezoning a lot right now. I'm really excited about, and I've got Airbnbs and blah, blah, blah. And like he's someone that I guess his emotions show on his face because I could tell every moment of the date where something went weird. And like that was like the first moment that anything went weird with him, where he kind of like got like a, I don't know, very serious and like taken aback and kind of like, what? You know what I mean? And so like the date did rebound after that. We quit talking about work like right around that point after I explained what I do. And it rebounded. And then, yeah, I don't know. Like there were some awkward moments in the date that might like make him not want to go out again. But like haven't heard from him in like 2 weeks. And I was like kind of excited about like potentially getting to date someone who does the same thing as me.
What were some of the other awkward moments?
So we were talking about the weather and like, I don't think like sexual jokes are funny, but I accidentally made one. And so like, I was like looking at him and I was like, yeah, like I was going to wear shorts tonight too. Cause he said he was going to wear shorts. And I was like, but it's going to go down to like 69. And so I was just planning on wearing pants. And then like, as I said that, like we both like looked at each other straight face and kind of like both paused. And I was like, wasn't a joke. And so it was like an awkward moment.
That, I mean, that's barely a sexual joke.
Okay. But it got like weird between us. Maybe I was the one like being weird because I was like, why did I just say like the exact number 69? And then the next
like
moment
sometimes I think we confuse our awkwardness with other people's awkwardness, or
yeah, it
it's
felt
both
like
awkward.
a weird moment between us. And then there's two other times where I noticed like his facial expression was like taken aback. So the next time I was like showing him my dog on my phone and a friend had messaged me, but it's a girl, her name has a heart by it. And like after I showed him my dog and he saw like the message, maybe he didn't read the name, but he like acted weird for like a solid couple of minutes. Like,
yeah,
and we had
thrown off. I don't know. I mean, listen, it was just a first date. Other than you liked that you shared the same career, what did you like about this guy?
I thought he was cute. And I feel like we didn't really get the chance to know each other that well. Like there was like a decent vibe.
So
but
you
like,
thought he was cute, a little awkward, you had a decent vibe. But
yeah.
so why? I don't. Do you really want to date someone who has the same career as you? Is that like a goal?
I really do. I mean, it's not
Why?
like a standard that I have set. So I actually dated a contractor while I was like actively flipping houses more so than like developing. And it was just such a great dynamic between us. I really loved like helping each other build our businesses and then like also having fun with each other while doing it. So like to have someone who's like in the same industry, I just feel like they understand it, but also it's something that we could grow together and be like a team.
Yeah, but you can do that with someone who doesn't have the exact same industry as you. And this other date that you just went on with a guy who's older who does exactly what you do demonstrated that, So, and why did that last relationship not work out? The one that you enjoyed working with him?
So I was like pretty young. I was like 23 when we met,
Okay.
and he was sober because he had drug addiction issues. And at the time I didn't know how serious that was. But he was sober throughout our relationship, and then his dad passed away and he relapsed.
Okay.
And so then obviously I was like, well, I can't live a life where I'm always worried if someone's going to relapse.
So your desire to date someone who has the same career is based off the memory of someone you dated about 7 years ago.
That could be true. I did really like that dynamic.
Yeah. Listen, nothing I enjoy more. One of the many things I enjoy about my relationship is that Nellie and I feel like a team. And obviously, people know she's been on the show more and more, and so like on some levels we work together. I've really enjoyed the partnership. I love that. I've always wanted to be a teammate in every possible way with my wife, my partner. Totally get that desire. And as someone who is career oriented like you are, I could get that even more, right? But to me, that's what sounds like you're desiring more than just like, I want someone, because like, for example, you could date a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant or a teacher. What you want is to find someone who is as passionate about their career as you are, respects your career as much as they respect theirs, and is able to support and love you through like just being your teammate. Let's say they were a teacher, right? Whatever. Obviously you would know a lot of things about real estate that they might not know, and vice versa. But like, a partner is just there to help you, like kind of round you out in ways that you might like have some gaps or whatever, or just help you see things clearly, where you're emotionally invested, the person you can come and talk to, and you can, hey, like run idea, long before Natalie ever was on the show and knew anything about podcasting, she was still someone who I would go to and just run ideas by, or just vent to, or, and she would offer me support. Natalie is good at a lot of things I'm not good at, and vice versa. So like, she was able to, offer her expertise in not even expertise, but yes, but just things that she was good at that I struggled with. She could offer perspective that I might not come naturally to me, and that felt like a partnership. You want a partner, you don't necessarily want like a literal coworker, and it sounds like, just hearing what I'm hearing from you, is that like, what you felt from that relationship of supporting each other and helping each other grow each other's businesses was a really attractive thing that you had. And that makes total sense, and that's great. But I'm just here to say, you can get that from people who don't exactly have the exact same career as you. And this most recent date proved to you that like, it all depends on what that person sees. Do they see it as an opportunity, or do they see it as competition? The guy you just went on a date with, you said he got kind of weird and awkward. So maybe he's just like, I don't know. Maybe his last partner also, maybe his ex-wife or whatever, also worked in real estate, and they competed all the time. And it was just like, it never felt like they were on the same team, but in fact, it was competition. It was, they were always correct. It felt like a game of one-upping. Who knows more about the industry that you're in? And, it can go both ways. So, but back to your original kind of challenge, is like, are men turned off by your career? Listen, you're probably talking to the wrong guy, because I've always been attracted to women who are career motivated, who are just motivated in general, who are passionate about, I'm attracted to people who have passion. And there's a lot of men who are intimidated by women who have passion and clarity in what they want to do, and you have that, more specific, it's your clarity and that you are about the passion that you have. And that is intimidating for anyone. So that puts you at risk of meeting a guy who, especially at your age, if you're dating men your age, especially nowadays, men are maturing slower and at a slower rate than ever before. People are maturing at a slower rate than ever before. So which means that you're going to find a lot of men in the late 20s and early 30s who haven't figured it out yet. I mean, and you're looking at a guy who, I was always very career motivated. So I guess if you met me at 29, I might seem like I had my shit figured out. I had a solid job, but I never felt like this was that was it for me, So I was just like, is this it? And kind of struggled. And so like someone who's like, I know what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I love what I want to do. Like, that could have been intimidating for me. Not to the point where I might not want to like say date someone like you when I was single, but I'm just saying in general, when you meet a guy who's hasn't figured his shit out, anyone he meets who has his shit figured out is going to remind him of what he doesn't have. So, and I think a lot of times it's less about, I think there are also just some men who are just more misogynistic and old school and traditional, and they're just like, they your ex who wanted someone who worked at fucking McDonald's. Like, to me, that's a sign of a weak person, a weak man who just like doesn't have the confidence in himself that he's going to be able to figure his shit out. And he knows someone who's willing to work at McDonald's is never going to surpass him and make him feel less than. To me, like, your ex-boyfriend just kind of revealed himself to be kind of weak. I would just be unattracted to that person. But that's just me, right? So, but like, listen, not everyone's going to be attracted to you. You have curly hair. There are some guys who are just like, I like straight hair. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So like, whether it's your job or your hair or whatever, like, not everyone's going to be into you. So there's that. So you could just accept that. That's a start. And I don't think you're going to ever want to change your career for a guy. So rather, it's just like, listen, I get it, and it might be frustrating, and I'm probably speaking in a position of a situation, as a woman who's very successful and passionate in her career, that should never feel like a negative for you, and unfortunately, it does, because unfortunately, we operate in a world where there are a lot of men who are intimidated by that, and I've never had to experience that. I've never, as a man, had to experience feeling proud and successful in what I do, and have the opposite sex like judge me for it. And I'm sure that's a shitty feeling. And I'm sorry, you and any other woman who has to deal with it. That sucks. It's not fair. That being said, rather than let that bother you and let that make you doubt what you are, like what you love is your job, and it makes you feel good about yourself, and you get a lot of sense of purpose and accomplishment from it. I know it's not what you want to do forever, but you should stop that when you want to stop it. All that should really do is help you qualify the men that you go out with. Right. And I think you need to almost take a step back and figure out what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me, what type of men should I go out with? You mentioned, listen, you only date typically men your age. And the reason why I asked is like one of the easier fixes to your problem, not even fixes, but like a filter you might want to introduce in your picker is maybe try dating older men. They don't have to be a lot older. But it's more common that you're going to find 29, 30, 31, 32-year-old men who don't have their shit figured out. And it's going to take a real confident 30-year-old man to not be intimidated by your success or not be threatened by your success. I wish that weren't true. But, maybe 35, 37, 38, who you feel you can still connect with. It's like you want to find that older guy who doesn't feel like the older guy. Like, I don't think an older guy who has an 18-year-old kid is your guy. And listen, if you end up falling in love with him, then great, fine. But maybe an older guy who you still feel is at the kind of same stage in life that you're at. That despite him being a little older than you, it's a better fit because you're kind of maybe way more mature than a lot of people your age. That for the average 30-year-old person, you're further ahead in life than a lot of people your age. And so my guess is you have a hard time relating to a lot of people your age because of the success that you've had. That you probably have more in common with other older people, who have more disposable income. I'm guessing there's a lot of things that you can do at your age that other people your age, can't because they can't afford it and you can.
Yeah, maybe that's true. I have a lot of friends in my career too. But
it's awesome. And the people you have more in common with, how old are they?
I really only hang out with people around my age. So I don't know that I have that much in common with that many people though. Like I'm pretty relatable in that I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty relatable in my normal sense of being rather than like my career sense of being. So I relate pretty easily to like most people, but I don't really hang out with that many older people.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not, but listen, I'm just trying to find filters for you to try to have this problem of your job not feel like a problem, because it shouldn't feel like a problem.
Yeah, I don't want it to feel like a problem. So back to my ex-boyfriend, when I met him, I was at the point where I was like, I'm not telling dudes about my career anymore. And then we got together and obviously it was a problem after, he realized, oh, she's a business owner and she does all these things. Cause I just said I'm in real estate and I just never expanded on that,
Yeah, but you're fishing in the wrong pond, I guess. You're considering men that honestly aren't at your level, sounds like.
Yeah, and I don't know where to find any that are. And then the one time I'm like, I finally found one that is. He just didn't like me, I guess, because I haven't heard from him in 2 weeks. So I'm like, well,
that's fine, and that's okay. And don't let your ego, make you like him more than you do just because he didn't call you back.
I don't like him. If he does ever call me, I'm probably not responding because I'm like, this makes me.
You're still thinking about him.
Yeah. But like you said, it's an ego thing. It's not about him. It's about me. Why don't you like me?
I don't know. Maybe he thought maybe those awkward moments that you picked up on, he picked up on as well. And he was like, you know what? Honestly, she's too young for me. I can't deal with this shit. I gotta my kid's closer in age than I am to her. I don't know. I don't know what he thought.
Yeah.
Who cares?
There was a point where I took a sip of kombucha and one singular drop went down my chin. and down my shirt and down to my belly button. And I literally didn't wipe it off until I turned away from him because I was like, I don't want to acknowledge this happened.
Why?
It was just literally couldn't exist as a person in that.
I mean, listen, we're not going to solve your problem on this call. First of all, I don't think you have a problem. Your problem, I guess, is you caring more about what people think about you than you should. You've had no problem busting your ass in your career, right? I'm assuming your career hasn't always been easy. You've just figured it out.
It's still not easy, honestly.
Yeah.
I want to eventually.
Understood. Well, dating isn't easy either, as you know.
Yeah, I have less control over that than I do over my career.
There you go. Well, dating is a means to an end. It's kind of like a job. And sometimes your job has been fun, I'm sure. Other times your job has been stressful. Dating's the same way, right? It's a means to an end. And life's full of choices. And you've chosen to be a career person. And again, it's not fair that you get judged from it by men, but it's where you're at. So you just have to adjust, just like you've adjusted in your job. And you've been willing, you're someone who's capable of putting in the work. Like you're like a top percenter, a 1%, you know what I'm saying? And so like not, if you are it's like one of those things, like if you want to be elite, right? Which you do in your job, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have to accept the consequences of being elite. And sometimes those consequences makes it harder for you to relate to other people, anyone in general, the most famous person in the world, like, being an A-list celebrity, lots of perks, right? You're famous, you're probably rich, you probably have access to all these cool events. Downside is you're probably really fucking lonely because you don't know who to trust. And it's hard. You've probably been burned by a lot of people who pretended to be your friend, but just wanted to use you, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's an extreme example of, the shit that you have to face. And there is a cost to being young and successful and ambitious and passionate and you know what you want. And the reality is like it's going to intimidate a lot of people. So now you have to elevate where you look, and you have to accept that your options are smaller than the average person because a lot of people are going to be intimidated by your success. And dating men your age comes with the risk of most of these men are not going to be at your level. And if they're not at your level, there's a good chance they're going to be intimidated by your success. So
yeah, I've had like friends and people, like guy friends, girlfriends tell me that like guys are intimidated by me, but I didn't believe it because I felt like that was like maybe a delusional way of thinking. Like if they like me, they like me.
Yeah, but I mean, some people, not every guy is going to be. You just have to find the right guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder for you. It's harder for celebrities to make friends.
Yeah.
Because people don't know how to act around them.
Yeah.
Like all a celebrity wants is and when they, and I'm not, like I'm talking like a Taylor Swift. When it comes to making friends, I'm guessing, well, I actually know firsthand, she just wants people who treat her like a person, like a normal person, not like a celebrity, not someone who asks for favors, but just a person. And that's really hard to do because most people don't know how to be around Taylor Swift and not be weird. I don't know if this is helpful at all. I'm just trying to you got to deal with the situation that you have. Yeah. And you and I are not on this call today going to solve the problem of men being intimidated by successful women. You just have to, and I guess what I want to instill in you, and I hope that you leave with, is to stop asking yourself that question. Who gives a fuck?
Right. It won't change anything.
Your original question, are men turned off by my job? The answer is some, yes. There are some women who are turned off by the fact that I went on reality TV. There are some people, if I were still single, would be turned off by the fact that I'm a middle-aged guy who talks about reality TV and pop culture for a living. Other people look at me and say, they might think I'm super successful and you know what I'm saying? I have no idea what a bunch of strangers think about me. I don't give a fuck. I was reminded, I'm probably going to butcher it, but I was rereading a book that's really helped me. It's called The Power of Intentions. A lot of what I talk about, I learned from that book. I haven't read it in maybe 15 years, but I've been re-listening to it. I'm like, holy shit, wow, that's where I got that. But it was about self-worth, talking about self-worth, or self-respect, rather. And you can't respect yourself if you care more about the opinions of others than your opinion of yourself.
Mhm.
But most of us care very much more about the opinions of others than how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah, like affects how we feel about ourselves.
You need to own who you are, and who you are is a very successful business person. And if you are proud of what you've done, that matters. And you need to accept that if you were to ask 100 men about what they think about what you do for work, you would get 100 different opinions. And none of them define who you are.
Yeah.
And the moment you are just like, regardless of what those 100 opinions are, proud and happy with who you are, and then be willing to be interested in getting to know how many of those men who are like either are indifferent about what you do or see it as a positive, and then learn about who they are and what they interest, and see if there's, see if you have things in common, see if you're compatible. You know what I'm saying? But instead of like you just kind of have to accept the choices you've made. And then you have to like find the filters that you want to, introduce into how you search for men that you consider going on dates with.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Mhm. I have a question though, a couple questions.
Shoot.
So like, first question, did you struggle with dating? Be honest.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone struggles with dating. I was
Yeah.
single for most of my 30s, and struggle with I got a lot of dates with a lot of interesting people, and but yes, I had a hard time finding people that I connected with, And as you get older, it doesn't get any easier, because as you get older, you get more experienced and you learn more about what you don't like. When you were 20, it was a lot easier for you to fall for people, because it was like, am I attracted to them? Do they make me laugh? How do I feel around them? And it didn't take much more than that. But then you got a couple boyfriends, you had a couple relationships, people disappointed you. You learned about things about your preferences that you don't like. And you were able to know right away things you didn't like, which made it feel like you had less options. Like in your career, think about how much you've learned over the years. Think about all the real estate properties that you used to consider that you would never even consider now. Now, when you see a property, you probably know within a few couple, you'll look at data point here, data point there, and immediately you know whether this is a potentially good investment or a bad investment. You need to move on, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm guessing it takes you a lot less time to do that now than you did in the past, right? Right. So you need to do the same thing with your dating life.
Yeah.
And you're not doing that. You're not adjusting the properties, aka men. You're not adjusting how the data points. You're not evaluating them any differently, but you're evaluating these properties and these investments differently as you learn. But you're not doing that with the men that you date.
Yeah. Did you deal with rejection? Because I'm feeling pretty rejected by this person.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I have an ego like anyone else, and the success I've ever had in my life is learning how to control that ego. And I'm guessing, talking with you briefly, is that you have a pretty big fucking ego. No problem. Your ego is also your superpower, but you have to learn how to control it, because otherwise you're just going to waste a lot of time being triggered by men that aren't worth your time or that you would never consider in the first place. You're spending all this energy on some fucking guy that you don't even like, but he hasn't called you back, and it's driving you nuts because all you can think about is, how is a guy like him not calling me back?
Yeah, maybe. I think he's good. Well, no. I'm mad, but he should, I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't call me back, but
all right, who knows? But who cares? You don't like him.
Yeah. But I don't like him because he didn't text me and ask me to hang out again.
Well, I don't know if you like, I don't think you know what you do like. The only thing that I heard from you is you like that he had the same career. But even that, I think you're overvaluing what that means, and you're missing out. What about having the same career? It's not about having the same career. It's about what that meant. The last time you dated someone with the same career, it gave you things that you appreciated.
Yeah.
In that relationship. And I am here to say it's not the career, it's per se, the specific career. It's and you can find that in other men. But if you keep being a victim to your ego, if you keep getting triggered by these men who are intimidated by you, and then either allow them to make you doubt yourself, or feel differently about your career choices, or start chasing or giving these guys who you might not even give attention you wouldn't otherwise give, then you're just going to waste a lot of your time and energy on people you would never. And how would you be as successful as you are in your career if you spent a ton of time evaluating obvious bad investments?
Yeah, right. So where should I look for, because I'm not really on dating apps. I don't know if I should be, but being on them was so exhausting. Like you said with the filters, I don't think I really know what to filter out. So I just got off of them.
Yeah, I mean, dating apps can be dating apps are also validation tools. So like someone like yourself who can be easily triggered by their ego, like any guy who doesn't swipe right on you, you're going to immediately like them more. There's that.
No, I won't.
You have
Hate
to
that.
you have to self please.
Yeah.
Love is not the opposite. Hate is not the opposite of love. It's, indifference, and you wouldn't be indifferent by these men. And that's kind of the point. You have to, what it's like to not care, and you care way too much for the wrong reasons when it comes to your dating life.
Yeah.
Again, back to the same analogy. Do you invest a lot of your energy in obvious bad investments when it comes to properties? Would you be successful in your career if you did?
No.
Do you want to be successful in dating?
Yeah, so bad.
Then why are you not applying what's made you successful in your career to how you approach dating?
I guess I don't know how.
Yeah, you do. It's controlling your ego. It's not. Yeah. It's.
How do I do that?
Huh?
How do I do that? Because I don't want to feel this way, and I don't want to care, but I do.
Well, acknowledging you do is a good step, but why do you care?
Because it would feel nice if he did
Why? What would you get out of it?
maybe it could actually go somewhere. I mean, obviously it's not going anywhere,
Maybe,
but
but
the chance that it would go somewhere is nice because I'm just sick of it. I'm so sick of dating to the point where I don't even want to be on the apps.
so take a break. I mean, have you been dating a lot?
No, that's the thing. Since my last boyfriend, I've pulled back a lot. Before him, I loved to date. It was so fun. I would date a lot. Now, since him, I've dated seriously maybe 2 people. And then I've gone on on a handful of dates here and there, but they
I would love to see the pictures of some of the men you're going out with.
Do you want to?
Do you meet men online? Do you are men sliding your DMs?
Yeah, that's mostly. So I've been trying to take a break from dating. And then when I do that, somehow people find me on Instagram, or maybe Facebook was the last guy, and they asked me out. And I'm like, oh, I'll stop taking a break for that.
And so when a guy DMs you, how do you decide whether you go out with him or not?
Is he cute? And also, do we have a good connection over messaging? Do I talk?
Okay. Well, I don't know how much you can get to know someone over messaging, but and your Instagram, is it public or private?
Private.
And is it okay? It's private. So is it work? Is it more work focus or is it more personal focus? How are guys DMing you if it's private?
So I have a work one and I have a personal one. So the personal one's completely just selfies and friends, and then
Gotcha.
The work is all about. I'm also a real estate investing coach, so I'm trying to build
Gotcha.
a following.
All right, and that's public.
Yeah, that's public.
Gotcha. As far as your original problem, I don't know how helpful I was, and I am sorry, but I really think, I honestly, if nothing else, I think maybe try to age up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go crazy.
Yeah.
But maybe 35 to 40. And are you in a major city?
Nashville.
Oh, okay.
It's terrible to date here. We're all struggling.
I'm sure it's every major city I think has the same problems. But Nashville probably has a lot of 30-some-year-old men who or early 40s who take good care of themselves, matured slower in life, but at the same time a little bit more they're going to be less intimidated by someone who's advanced in their career.
Right. Yeah, in Nashville it's it just seems like everybody has Peter Pan syndrome, even the older guys.
Sure, but but that's all my point. Yeah. The 21-year-olds are not going to be any less on their way to, you need to find someone who's tired of Peter Pan.
Yeah. How do you know? Like, what are some questions I could ask a guy to like filter him out?
Well, anytime a guy says, I'm not looking for a relationship right now,
Oh
immediate.
no, those are done.
Uh,
Do we ask them though? Is that appropriate to be like, are you looking for a relationship before we've even like met?
I don't think you have to mention it right away. I think, well, how settled do they seem in their life? Like someone who matches your energy. It's not about the same career, but ideally, you go on a date with someone who's just like, yeah, listen, I really like my job. It's great. I'm happy with it. I don't know if I'll do it forever, but like, I'm really, someone who is settled. You're settled in your career. You're not settled in your relationship life, but you don't want to meet someone like if you were to meet a guy who's just like, yeah, I'm a teacher for like, I've been a teacher for the past 10 years, but honestly, I kind of fucking hate my job and I want to try something else. Not your guy. You want to find someone who's just like everything else in my life right now, but I'm looking for the person to, really enjoy my life with.
Yeah.
And that is harder to find because more and more people are less satisfied with where they're at. So that is going to be harder for you. But like, stop looking for people or stop giving people who are still figuring their shit out, their time. Because those are the people who either A, going to be intimidated by you, and if they're not intimidated by you, then there's going to be a project for you.
Yeah. I don't want to ignore those.
So unfortunately, your success is a bit of an issue for you. But that kind of like I gave you the whole like Taylor Swift analogy. It's kind of the same for there's a cost to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And your cost of your success is that it's harder for you to find someone on your level.
Right.
But stop wasting your time giving people who clearly aren't on your level an opportunity to just prove to you that they're not. You should be able to figure that out with, and if, I'm not saying never go out with someone your age or even someone like who's younger than you, but they really better, it better be obvious to you that they are, you should look at them and they should remind you of where you are at, you should see a lot of similarities and not necessarily the career itself, but how they talk about their career, how they carry themselves, and things like that. You should be able to relate to like their maturity that they demonstrate,
Yeah.
And the more indecisiveness someone communicates to you, the more of a sign that they're just not where they need to be in a relationship with you.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think you got to get the narrative out of your head that your job is a turnoff. That's just like negative frame of mind. And that's not going to attract more people. And that's going to make you doubt yourself unnecessarily. And that doesn't do you any good. So you have to own your success. And you have to recognize that whether you're a man or a woman, that success is often intimidating to people. And yeah, it might be a little bit more intimidating for men who try to date you. But at the end of the day, you're not going to own your success any less than you should.
Right.
So, all right. I know this wasn't super helpful or maybe give you the answer you're looking for, but.
No, it was helpful. It was helpful because honestly, before I was thinking like, well, obviously people tell me, your success is intimidating or like you as a person are intimidating because you're beautiful and successful and smart or whatever. But I always was like, that can't be it. So it kind of helps to hear like from a man's perspective who has like more experience that like maybe it could be it.
I mean, it's true, but like I just see it differently than the way that people are telling you. I don't think you need to do anything about it,
Yeah.
I think you just need to own it and not care. And then seek out people who aren't intimidated by it.
Yeah.
You're talking like it's like it's like it's like it'd be like if Justin Bieber was just like, hey man, I just like want to go to like Chipotle and just have people treat me like a normal fucking person. And then his buddies are like, well, listen, man, you're Justin Bieber. People are just gonna be kind of intimidated by you, and then Justin would be like, yeah, but so what, man? Like, I'm a normal person, and like, why can't they just like treat me? It's just not how the world works, like, and so. You know what I'm saying? You're like going around being like, well, why? I don't understand why that is. Why would anyone be bothered? But like, it's hard to have success, and it's hard to have success in an early age, and it's hard to seem like you have everything together. When people do, people aren't intimidated by that. It's not always a gender thing.
Yeah.
I think it's amplified, from a gender perspective, but it's not exclusively a gender thing. So you either can decide to be less successful, give yourself more options, or you could just own your success and start getting better at filtering out the people who aren't worthy of your time. And to do that, you have to stop giving into your ego, because that is causing you to give a bunch of losers your energy just because they either make you feel a little awkward, or they just are smart enough to like not call you back right away, or maybe they just have just enough of fuckboy energy in them that like it's despite what you bring to the table, you kind of dim your light, so to speak, and that's all because you're listening and you're lacking the self-respect that you require, because you are caring way too much about the opinions of others rather than what you care about yourself. You asking other people, what do you think guys think about my job? Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you care? What do you think about your job?
I like it. It's good.
Are you proud of it?
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, that's all that matters. And then when people make you treat you differently for the job that you have, that's a them problem. That's a signal to you that they're not on your level. And I'm not saying this so that you get like a big head or you're cocking. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? Like it's.
Yeah. I think my ego works in reverse. It's only impacted by negative.
You're not alone. That's just how the egos work. Because what ego is looking for the opportunity to make you feel special. And so it needs to start at a place of you feeling not enough. And when you feel not enough, that's where your ego says, oh, that's an opportunity for me to feel special. So
right.
You're just like everyone else when it comes to the ego. All right.
All right.
Well, keep us posted. We'd love to know how this journey goes for you and if you make any progress.
I'll let you know if I ever find a man.
Or just like give us an update in a couple months of like, has your perspective changed at all? Like, again, in the next couple months, can you care less about what men think of your career?
Yeah, I'll set a goal and see if I can get there.
It doesn't matter what people think of your career. It only matters what you think about your career. And then the person you end up meeting, like it's not about them having the same career. I guess you just need to find your equal. And that's harder for you to find because you have elevated yourself past the point where most people can reach. And so for you to find your equal, it's just harder.
Yeah.
And so you might have to look in like, non-traditional spots. You know what I'm saying? Like your equal, won't present. I don't know. Like, for example, like, Natalie, like I didn't expect Natalie to be my equal,
Yeah.
but she is, in a lot of ways. And yeah, she has weaknesses and I have strengths, and I have weaknesses and she has strengths, and but we treat each other as equals, and we make each other feel as equals, and we feel as though we're equals in a lot of ways. And you need to find someone who feels like you're equal.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to send in those questions at asknick@theviallfiles.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.